The Blast from Our Past Network.
Lock your doors, close your windows, turn out your lights, for chills and thrills await you. It's time for Podcasting After Dark with your hosts, Corey Stevenson and Zach Schaefer. Stay with a friend, say your prayers as grisly ghouls close in to seal your doom. Tonight's episode, Aliens, Part 1, starring Sigourney Weaver, Paul Reiser, and Michael Biehn.
All right, sweethearts, you heard the man and you know the drill. Assholes and elbows. Zach, come here and do this podcast with me. What's up, everybody? That's right, we are covering Aliens, my favorite movie of all time. Woohoo!
My least favorite movie of all time.
Shut your mouth.
Who voted down on IMDb to give it an 8.4? How dare they?
Yeah, seriously, this thing should be a 10. But Zach, my man, who is the producer of this episode?
So, y'all, this is a very special episode because it's a two-parter. This is part 1 of 2, and it's also a Patreon pick. So if you go to patreon.com/podcastingafterdark and sign up to our highest tier, you could be a producer of our show and pick the movies that we break down on our podcast. And today, depending on when you listen to this morning, Brian. He is the Patreon producer for tonight's episode, the two-parter. So he's going to be the next 2 episodes. We're going to go, Brian, this is for you. Brian, we hope you like this. Brian, we hope you like this. And so Brian's Brian's great. Brian has already, he's been a Patreon member for quite some time now for both Podcasting After Dark and $2 late fee.
Yeah, he's a real hero. He is the Ripley of both of our shows. Yeah,
when it comes down to paying the annual internet fee or for web hosting, all the money that goes to Patreon, it actually goes to things that we have to spend it on, like hosting the podcast and et cetera, et cetera. So when we do that, we think of, oh, thank you, Brian. Oh, thank you, Paulette. Oh, thank you, Robert Ortiz. Thank you, all Patreons who've helped support the show, keep the lights on, or the black lights in this case for the Podcasting After Dark. I don't know if you want a black light in Corey's bedroom, especially with his carpet.
No, not at all. Burn it all to the ground.
Keeps the GIMP masks tight and
take off and nuke the site from orbit. It's as they say.
Exactly. Look, he keeps the bug hunting fresh. There you go. There's my Aliens reference to start out.
Thank you. I approve. And yeah, Zach, this is our first two-parter, which is something I think we've known we were going to get to this at some point, just like we know we're going to get to Boogie Nights at some point. And I think we've always suspected this was going to be a two-parter because we are going to be covering the 1990 special edition version of the film, which has about 15 to 16 minutes put back into the film. And so it's a beefy film already, but the special edition is it's even beefier. Zach, when was the first time you saw the special edition, the quote unquote director's cut? Because this is James Cameron's preferred version.
So here's the deal. Like I know, Corey, this is your favorite movie of all time. It is probably absolutely in my top 10 of all time because I've watched this movie more times than I can count. Not as much as The Warriors, but probably only because it's a little bit longer than The Warriors. That's the only reason. Otherwise, I would watch it more regularly. I've been watching this movie. I remember watching it with Jason Brown, seeing it with my mom in the theater as a double feature with The Fly, and back in 1986, Aliens first, then The Fly, and that was traumatizing in the best way possible. And then the special edition, I believe the special edition came out in 1990. I feel like I probably saw it in 1990. Well, if it was...
So it hit Laserdisc in 1991, but it came from CBS's putting together a TV cut of the film where they had to cut out some of the violence, but for the runtime, they actually put some of this stuff back in. So that kind of like kicked off the special edition being produced, but the first time it saw the light of day, I guess probably the Sentry gun saw the light of day was in 1989 on CBS, and then in 91 when the Laserdisc came out, which unfortunately I had a Laserdisc player, but unfortunately I never had Aliens on Laserdisc. So I didn't actually see it in its entirety until the quadrilogy came out, but I had seen like I had seen bits and pieces of the Sentry gun on TV, and it became stuff of legends between me and my friends because we don't know what the hell this is.
Yeah.
But I probably didn't see the special edition until the quadrilogy itself came out.
Probably that's when I saw it too. I do remember I did have a girlfriend at one point in high school who always dangled that her parents owned a video store. Why I never followed through on that? Well, there's a reason for that. Go back in the archives at $2 late fee. You'll find out why I stopped dating her. But she would dangle that carrot in front of me because she had the Laserdisc special edition, which I never watched because that would entail me hanging out with her more. But I believe it was seeing the DVD version when that came out. Yeah, that's probably when I saw it too. And then, of course, blown away by that. And then got the Blu-ray, did not get the 4K, but I don't know how I came about to owning it, but I do own like the iTunes version, which has the 1990 special. It has all the special features, and it's all in 4K.
Oh,
so,
that's nice.
Yeah, so I actually watched it on my iPad, which is a 4K screen.
That's nice.
And I was like, this is amazing. I've never watched a movie in 4K.
It's pretty sweet.
Aliens was the first one I did that on my iPad. So it's a pretty big iPad. It's like a 13-inch screen. It's like the old school television. It's all good.
Don't
judge.
But rolling back to when you first saw it, do you remember what you thought? So you're about a year and a half older than me. So you were.
I was 10.
10.
Because it came out. Actually, we're recording on the day it came out, ish.
We are recording when it had its West Hollywood premiere, but it's actually in 2 days it's going to have its proper premiere. But yeah, so you were like 10. I was about 8 when I saw this. But yeah, do you remember like what you thought of it? Do you remember like even like were you excited for it at all?
Oh yeah, I mean I remember seeing Alien when I was a kid on VHS.
Okay, so you'd already seen Alien before Aliens.
Oh, yeah, I was super familiar. Loved the marketing campaign for it. The fact that it was a double feature with The Fly. I mean, I was a huge horror nerd, so horror and sci-fi. So this totally was in my wheelhouse. Did not like The Fly as much because it was so grotesque and also sexual too. And it's like I was 10, so I wasn't feeling that.
Well, you had already sat through like a 2 hour and 25-minute film prior to that.
Yeah.
Like there is some fatigue there, you know?
I mean, I can go long. So,
my man.
And this is going to sound really weird. My son inherited that too because he can watch movies for an extended period of time. And thank the gods for that. He will be watching this movie later on in the week. So by the second part of this, I will have an update on the Bodhi review because I started watching it again and I was like, no, he could totally watch this. This is perfectly fine. It's not going to traumatize him at all. In fact, he's probably going to think it's cool. So, so that being said, I remember loving it as a kid. I remember making my G.I. Joes into Aliens characters, you know, and watching it in the morning before I went to school with Jason Brown, and he would reenact, you know, certain lines from the movie. Where's Bowski? Where's Bowski? You know, he would say that, or, you know, on the ready, people, you know, all that stuff. Like all the lines that were quotable, he would quote, and we would quote him back and forth at the time back in the day. And then we'd go off to school and then, you know, pretend like we cared about school.
Yeah. When you actually wanted to live out there in space.
Yeah, just go home and watch Aliens again. He had it on VHS, or I don't think he owned it. Maybe he did. I don't know.
Well, I mean, longtime listeners to the show have heard all of these bits and pieces of my history with Aliens, so I'll try to condense them down for first-time listeners. But I saw Aliens in the theater. It was that summer that it came out. I saw it because I would always go down to see my dad during the summer times, and we would always go to movies because that's sort of how we bonded and we connected with. And I had never seen Alien. I knew its existence, maybe. I don't really know. I don't know if I knew Alien at the time.
Wow.
But I saw, I mean, because like I said, I was 8 years old. So, but I did see, because my grandfather had Time magazine. He would get the weekly Time magazine, and I remember they did an article in there about Aliens because, I mean, guys and gals, Alien was a huge movie. And a lot of times, sequels come out like, a year or two after the big film, but this was like almost a decade, after the film itself came out.
Like Phantasm.
Yeah, exactly. There was a giant stretch of time. So there was a lot of hype for this. So Time magazine had an article. It had the picture of, some obviously stock photos that I've seen and everything, Ripley and stuff. But one thing that it had was a picture of the dropship, that profile shot that it's going through the clouds. And I saw that and my eyes just got big. I was like, that's the coolest thing I ever saw. And so I made my dad take me to see it in the theater as a kid. Kind of scared the crap out of me, but I made it through it. I loved it. And it went on to become my favorite movie of all time. My personal mantra is Star Wars is life, but Aliens is my favorite movie of all time. I had the Bleeding Edge board game, the Aliens board game that came out in 1989. I used to play that. It had like little cardboard cutouts of everybody, like all the Marines and everything,
Cool.
which is where I learned all of their names because I always thought as a kid, Hicks was saying, "Where is Bowski?
Me
Where's
too.
Bowski?" But then I saw on the card, I was like, "Oh, his name's Where's Bowski?"
Yeah, we didn't have subtitles back then, so.
Exactly. And then, like you, Zach, I had specific G.I. Joe toys that I would use as Colonial Marines because we didn't even have those Kenner toys didn't come out until the 90s, mid 90s. So I used G.I. Joe figures. One of the ones we talked about on 80s Kids Unite is the one that I used as a Colonial Marine. Dude, I used my one and only Spiral Zone figure as a Colonial Marine because he kind of has that camo BDUs and the armor and everything. Hell, I even used the Land Centurion, the yellow tannish one. I used him as a Colonial Marine because I was desperate for a fucking Colonial Marine toy.
Yeah, Micro Machines released some Predator and Aliens ones. I still have them. Released the tank Jeep car or whatever it is.
Yeah, the APC. Yeah.
Yeah, and Corey's almost like knocked over his microphone when he said that. He's like, "Go, go, go."
Come on, Zach.
Get it right. I will say you said Star Wars is life. Aliens. What did you say?
It's my favorite movie of all time.
Yeah, so I will say Star Wars sucks and Alien
Fuck you.
rules. So that just kidding.
We're coming
sort
in
of.
hot tonight, baby.
Just kidding. Sort of. No, yeah, like we never. I still to this day don't think we ever got our proper due for a toy line for Aliens, and it baffles my mind because, well, cheap plug, an upcoming topic that may pop up on 80s Kids Unite, either live in person at LA Comic-Con or on an episode of 80s Kids Unite, would be R-rated properties that had toys in the 80s, and this was not one of them. It should have been, and it wasn't. And then when it was finally released, it was lukewarm. It was a I don't even want to say a kiddie version. It was just like a oddball version of the toy. Like, Corey and I, on our little text thread with our friends, were always saying like, and Diallo and our Fern, they don't get comic book movies, like accurate in the 80s. Right. Well, they didn't get the toys accurate for Aliens in the 90s because
Not at all.
they look like trash. I will say, though, the video game, the side scroller, I believe it is, that also turns into like Contra because they do the first person at one point. That is phenomenal. The arcade version of Aliens, which is so much fun. I actually played that with Bodhi.
I played that with Bodhi when I was there.
That's right, you did. That's right.
We got to the Queen and the game crashed on us.
Oh no, I'm so sorry. Bummer. Well, I will say we just watched Ready Player One for him for the first time the other night, and he absolutely loved it. And we noticed the pulse rifles in that, and there were a couple other nods to Aliens as well, and Alien, which is pretty badass. And the minute he saw the machine gun, he's like, "Isn't that from Aliens?" I'm like, "Yep, that's from Aliens." It's amazing.
Oh, good for Bodhi. I'm so proud of him.
Anyways, I'm like, he has to watch this movie now. So.
Yeah, and I really want to hear what he thinks of it. So I do hope you show him, because I was thinking we're not gonna have anything to talk about on part 2 at the beginning, but if we can get Bodhi's impression, that would be awesome. And I do just want to plug a few things, a few previous episodes you can listen to our interview with Mark Ralston, who played Drake, our interview with Jeanette Goldstein, who played Vasquez. We also have older episodes of the Watch List where I can't remember who I did them with, but spoiler alert, I did one for sci-fi vehicles. My number one is the dropship, and then we did one for armor, and my number one is Colonial Marines, and the pulse rifle is my number one. So Aliens from T to B, guys and gals. I mean, I had the technical manual that came out like in 1990, that book. I still have that edition. I had the board game. I had every video game you can imagine, and now I have that Nerf pulse rifle that they put out a few years ago that my wife had to order on Kickstarter and everything. And man, and at the end of the day, again, as much as I love Star Wars, Aliens is still my favorite cinematic universe, because Star Wars, obviously it's a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away. I can't live in it. Whereas there's still a connection here with Aliens that it's actually supposed to be our future. Although it's weird because the technology is based on future technology from the 1970s. You know what I mean?
Right. I know there's a couple moments where I'm like, I wonder if Corey tracked the inflation on this amount of money that it cost to blow up the ship. I will say, from a strictly like film goer standpoint and not a like sci-fi horror nerd, this might be, if it's not the greatest movie of the 80s, it's definitely in the top 5 greatest movies of the 80s, because it is a masterpiece. Like, it is, watching it on a 4K version, and it doesn't appear to be cleaned up, like you're looking at the original, special effects and the music and the acting. It's impeccable. It's perfect. So, and it's also one of the rare times that a movie exceeds 90 minutes or an hour and 45, and you don't feel like you could trim anything from it. It's one of those few films that is like that, maybe blasphemy, but even Dances with Wolves is a movie that you feel like you could probably trim quite a bit from. This is not one of those movies that I will say, I love the director's cut, and I'm glad we're breaking that version down, but the original theatrical cut is kind of perfect, except for maybe one scene.
Yeah, buddy, I'm with you at this point. I actually, for a while, was only watching the special edition director's cut. I've kind of pulled back and gone sort of back to the theatrical cut. I think it's a tighter film because now I have the information, like Ripley's daughter being dead, Amanda Ripley, the sentry guns. Like, I have it in my head. I can go back and watch the more streamlined version. The only thing I would actually cut from the director's cut that a scene that I absolutely hate is Hudson's speech about his sharp sticks and his laser bolt rays and stuff. I hate that speech because I hate the way Bill Paxton delivers it. I think his performance for the rest of the film is brilliant. I think his delivery of those lines and that, hey, check it out. We've got sharp sticks. I fucking hate that scene. If I could cut that scene from the director's cut, I would be so happy.
Yeah, I was wondering if that scene was improvised because
Well, it's actually not, because we learned from Jeanette Goldstein on the interview that was the speech that they had all the actors who were auditioning for Colonial Marines, they had to give that speech. That was what was written, which is sad, which is basically tells you that's some of the oldest piece of dialogue that was written in that movie. Like, you know what I mean? Like, as far as drafts go and everything, like, that's some of the earliest stuff that was written. Kind of sounds like it too.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely feels forced, and it doesn't line up with, the character development at that point in the movie. If he yeah, it feels misplaced, and I agree with you. I feel like it's definitely a scene that could have been excised. I also feel like
which it was for the theatrical cut.
Yeah, so back to the theatrical cut version, perfect film. I don't feel like
I agree.
It's a film that deserves criticism for either. I don't know where you could find any criticism with it.
The only criticism I can find with the theatrical cut is give us the 5 minutes of learning about Amanda Ripley, about Ripley's daughter. Give us that 5 minutes, because that truly does inform her entire relationship with Newt moving forward. Like, it makes that relationship so much more impactful. And it's unlike the smart gun scenes or whatever, where there's multiple pieces to it. You could have kept those 4 or 5 minutes of, I don't even think it was that long. It was probably like 2 or 3 minutes.
It's like 2 minutes, yeah.
Yeah, you could have kept that, and that's the one thing I think they should have kept, but I agree with you. I think the theatrical cut is a perfect film. I think the director's cut is a 99.9% perfect film. But, Zach, it's funny that you mentioned the Warriors. Let's get into some behind the scenes.
Yeah.
There's a lot of connections, actually, here to the Warriors.
Right.
Walter Hill produced the first movie, produced Alien. He also produced Aliens. He also provided, I think, some of the pre-story to it. And, of course, Walter Hill directed the Warriors. And we saw James Remar. We see him for 1 second in the movie, but James Remar, who was in the Warriors, he was originally cast to play Hicks, and he was basically let go because of he was caught with heroin in the UK, and that was pretty bad. And he basically just got fired, and they had to bring Michael Biehn in and reshoot some scenes. During the breakdown, I'll tell you where you can actually see James Remar in the only one shot in the entire movie, but. It's like there is this connection between my favorite movie and your favorite movie.
Yeah, there is. And it makes sense because I think both are flawless in their own ways.
Me too. Now, Zach, why don't you take us down a little path with James Cameron? Because, dude, like, he was so big to me, and I'm sure you too, as a kid in the 80s. Like, I would call him my favorite director of all time until he did Titanic and then Avatar, and I don't really find him relevant anymore. But at the time, I was a massive James Cameron head. Terminator 2, the whole 9 yard. But where did he get his start, though?
Well, as many great filmmakers in the genre start out, he got his start with Roger Corman doing the Piranha 2.
Yeah.
So, like Joe Dante, countless others that off the top of my head, I can't think of, but I know they're out there. Yeah. And that's where he got to start. He's a horror guy. Like, he got to start with biological horror. And it makes sense that he's doing a biological horror. His masterpiece is the biological horror film. I'd say his best days were 80s movies. I know 90s movies, he's had quite a successful run as well, but my heart goes with the 80s. I understand people love Titanic, and that's all good. People like Avatar, and that's fine too. After Piranha 2, he moves on to Terminator, which is a masterpiece, and then Aliens. So his first 2 movies, let's call it the 2 movies, are classics. And then, of course, The Abyss soon after that, which another epically long film. Is it rewatchable? Yeah. Is it one that I'll pull off immediately and watch? No. But is it one that I'll happily watch? Yes.
Yeah, I feel the exact same way. I mean, I love The Abyss. It's not something I sort of visit frequently, but I do love it, just like I love True Lies.
And it's, again, another movie where he had cut scenes in The Abyss that actually added to the story. So, including the one guy who gets his shorts pulled down by his friend, if you... go search that out on YouTube. And then T2, True Lies, like those, and then he goes into Titanic, rounding out his run in the 90s. And it's fine. Like, it's fine. The Titanic is fine. I admire his work, like his craftsmanship. It's unique. There's no one else like him. I think a lot of his magic, though, is included with his producer as well.
Yes, so thank you for mentioning her, Gail Ann Hurd. At this time, they were actually partners, meaning they were married. They both got their start at Roger Corman Studios and everything like that. She was a producer and everything. She produced Terminator, and then she produced, I think, Terminator 2 and Aliens and everything. But she's still working today. She produces the Walking Dead TV show, or she did. I think it's over now. But she was one of the producers on that, and she's done so many amazing films, but I think a lot of this movie is thanks to Gail Ann Hurd.
Yeah, I think, if you're not a Patreon member, and I'll plug it again, patreon.com/podcastingafterdark, we do a auteur de force series on directors. We're currently doing it on William Lustig. We did it on Don Coscarelli, and we started with John Carpenter. And one of the connections, spoiler, was that, it wasn't just John Carpenter who was making that magic. It was the team around him. And I think the same can be said with James Cameron, that Gail Ann Hurd is a underappreciated, maybe was. I don't think she is now. I think now she's very much heralded, like in the pop culture community. I think in the behind the scenes community, she's definitely appreciated.
She was a force to be reckoned with. Yeah.
Yeah. But in the pop culture community, people go, "Oh, I love the Jim Cameron movie," but then you realize, wait, no, hold on. But Gail Ann Hurd actually has a huge piece in making these movies happen. And I think she's now getting her appreciation, her flowers, so to speak.
Yeah, and she's awesome. And we got to mention James Cameron's the one that wrote the script too.
Yeah.
So I mean, he's a talented motherfucker. But also this movie would not be as amazing as it is without that amazing score. Zach, can you tell us who did that?
Yeah, James Horner is the composer, and James Horner is, he's worked with Cameron quite a bit. Obviously he wasn't responsible for Terminator. That was Brad Fiedel. By the way, I interviewed Brad Fiedel for $2 late fee during the pandemic. That was a really fun interview, eye-opening, really super cool dude. But James Horner, though, is a legend in the film composing business. I will run through a few of his movies that he did in the 80s and 90s, because let's be honest, that's our sweet spot. Yes. We're not going to go into like his Faith Hill video or whatever that he did.
Right. Right.
Yeah. But very, very, Academy Award friendly, Braveheart, Legends of the Fall, Clear and Present Danger, stuff like that. Of course, that's going to be, huge and memorable. But he did Sneakers, and Sneakers is along with Branford Marsalis, and that's why there's a horn section in that just like really hits a sweet spot for me. But like The Rocketeer and Honey, I Shrunk the Kids, Field of Dreams, Cocoon, like he makes those feels come out. Red Heat, I really like the score in Red Heat. I know we did a whole 80s Kids Unite on like our favorite Arnold movies. I believe it was last year.
Yeah.
And Red Heat did not make that list, or it started to make the list, and then I pulled it out. I think I ejected it like halfway through the episode. But a lot of so well-known movies. Willow, Batteries Not Included, American Tail, Captain EO, like the Commando sound, which he borrows a lot of that in Red Heat, or Red Heat borrows a lot from Commando, that kind of like, like steel drum beat in Commando, which is so badass. It's also in Red Heat. I talked about Uncommon Valor with Todd Allen recently on $2 late fee, and the score for that is phenomenal. Yeah, Something Wicked This Way Comes, Star Trek 2, 48 Hours. I mean, come on, amazing. James Horner, amazing.
Yeah. No, he is the soundtrack of my childhood. And I got to say, the cinematographer, Adrian Biddle, he was not the first choice. He was fired. The original cinematographer was fired by James Cameron because he wasn't doing things the way James Cameron wanted.
You're not
things
doing
to be
it
done.
the way I want you to do it.
I mean, James Cameron is that director where you have to do it exactly how he wanted to do it. But Adrian Biddle, he worked on the camera though in Alien, so he kind of already had experience with the franchise. This is his first director of photography gig is Aliens, but he goes on to do Princess Bride, Willow, Thelma and Louise, like City Slickers too, but Judge Dredd, the one with Sylvester Stallone. But Zach, he did do Event Horizon, which is a movie you and I both love, and that makes a lot of sense because that movie has a lot of visual similarities.
Love that movie. Underappreciated. Not so much now. I think people actually finally get it now, but back when it came out, definitely did. I think it's also worth noting the editor is a guy named Ray Lovejoy, and he was the editor for 2001, A Space Odyssey. So, and Krull.
Yeah, and thank you for calling him out because I do truly believe, Zach, that, the theatrical cut, like, excising every bit of the sentry guns. Like I said, unlike the whole Amanda Ripley being dead thing, like, that was one scene that you have to cut out. The sentry guns, they have to cut out, like, multiple scenes, and they have to chop up pieces of scenes that they're still going to keep. I believe that that is a masterclass in editing if you look at the differences between the special edition and the theatrical cut and just look at it from an editing standpoint. I think it's a fucking masterclass.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. I mean, his behind the scenes people that he has on this are just bonkers across the board. I do think it's worth noting a little bit on the special effects tip.
Stan Winston, baby.
Stan Winston, but Alec Gillis is a guy that Corey and I interviewed at Pasadena Comic-Con earlier this year, and he did the work on Tremors.
Yep.
And when he came on stage, it was one of those things where, okay, so a little side note, and I'm not sure if I think we talked about it in wrap-up, but for those that didn't listen to our wrap-up or not Patreon members, here's your little bit of that. So Corey and I did this. We were invited to do two panels at two panels at Pasadena Comic-Con, Tremors and interviewing Sid Croft from Sid and Marty Croft. And when we were doing the Tremors panel, we were initially told, maybe like 4 or 5 people. And then that turned into like maybe 6 or 7 people. And then when it actually all was said and done, we had like 16 people on the stage with us.
To the point where Michael Gross almost fell off the stage and I had to catch him.
Yeah, it was a lot.
Yeah.
It was all good. I think the panel actually went as good, if not better than expected. But one of the guys, so all these people are coming on stage. Oh, I was this guy in the movie, or I worked on this aspect of the film, blah, 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 from the director to the writer to the actors, etc. And then Alec Gillis shows up, and you don't know special effects guys unless you're Stan Winston, or K&B. Like you don't know them by face necessarily. But he's a big looking dude, kind of looks a little bit like Mel Gibson, and I'm like, wait, that guy looks really familiar. And then I'm like, as we're doing a little bit of quick research on people that are literally being thrown to us last minute, I'm like, wait, this guy worked on. Holy shit. He worked on the Aliens special effects, Starship Troopers special effects. Like, this dude is kind of a legend.
Yeah.
And, of course, Tremors. But Starship Troopers, with like so many great big movies. And obviously Aliens. So that was really amazing. And I don't know why I went off on a tangent like that, but it was really cool to we met the guy and, whatever. It's cool.
And he was cool, though. So, I mean, he was awesome. We have, Zach, it's not a lengthy breakdown, but I think there's going to be a lot of discussion. So I'm going to just rapid fire some of the main cast off to you, and you tell me what your favorite movie is that they did that's not Aliens, you know what I mean? So you tell me what your favorite one is.
Okay.
Sigourney Weaver plays Ripley.
Ghostbusters.
Yep, me too. Dana Barrett, Ghostbusters. Michael Biehn plays Hicks.
You're going to say Terminator. I'm going to say K2.
Okay, good. Because, yes, I am going to say Terminator, Kyle Reese. Paul Reiser.
I'm not going to say mad about you guys. My two dads.
I'm going to say Beverly Hills Cop, but I did love My Two Dads.
Okay.
Lance Henriksen.
Oh, Near Dark.
Ooh, that is a good pick, my friend. I'm going to go with Hard Target, but we will plug the fact that Zach and I covered Survival Quest by Don Coscarelli on the Coscarelli Factor on Patreon, and we saw him and Mark Ralston in Survival Quest.
Yes. Yes, we did.
You're like, that is a true statement.
Yeah,
yes.
y'all should watch it. That movie's really entertaining.
Yeah, really fucking good. And finally, Bill Paxton plays Hudson. What's your favorite movie Bill Paxton's in?
Oh, man,
or maybe role.
Yeah, I'm gonna say movie. I'm gonna say he did this. He did this noir film in the 90s called One False Move.
Okay.
Really, really good. Billy Bob Thornton is also in that. Badass movie. How about you?
Frailty. I love that movie. I think that movie's absolutely amazing. I think someone just put out a special edition 4K or something just came out. But yeah, Frailty's a great fucking movie if you've never seen it.
Yeah, someone did. And, you know, over on $2 late fees Patreon, we do a lot of tributes to actors who've passed away currently because of all the people of our generation are dropping like flies right now.
Like flies.
But maybe I'll do a little tribute to Bill Paxton at some point later this year. So,
please have me on for that one.
Yeah, because we cover, like, when we do a tribute, Tales from the Video Store tribute to an actor, we cover their body work in like the 80s and sometimes early 90s. This month coming up, or of July, we'll be doing George Wendt, which there's some roles that'll surprise Corey, I think, because I just like throw them out last minute. So like we did for the Pasadena Comic-Con, just getting something thrown out last minute.
We'll do it live, baby.
Do it live. Yeah. Anyways, I'm glad that you covered those guys. And, I mean, that's all you got to do for now.
I mean, there's so many people. At some point in the breakdown, guys and gals, I actually list all the Colonial Marines and the actors who play them. Zach, feel free to throw in any other ones there. We'll probably mention William Hope in Hellraiser 2. He plays Lieutenant Gorman. But I do think we have a lot to talk about. So you wanna fucking get in the pipe 5x5?
Yeah, let me get my cornbread and knife, and I'll be ready to rock.
Guess you don't like the cornbread either.
I do, actually.
Me too.
Just tell me one thing, Burke. You're going out there to destroy them, right? Not to study, not to bring back, but to wipe them out.
That's the plan.
All right, people, on the ready line. Are you me? Yeah! Are you me? Yeah! You on the ready line, Marine? Get them to die! Get on the ready line! Get your light up here.
Keep back, don't scare.
Movement! Talk to me, Hudson!
I got signals. I got readings in front and behind.
There's nothing back here.
Look, I'm telling you, there's something moving and it ain't us.
Get them out of there.
How could they cut the power, man? They're animals.
There's movement all over the place.
5 meters, man. 4.
Aliens. This time, it's war.
The movie opens with the James Horner score slowly building as the title distorts its way into focus, then explodes into a white light. Fade in on the Nostromo's escape pod, the Narcissus, floating through space with Warrant Officer Ellen Ripley and Jonesy the Cat sleeping in the stasis pod. A deep space salvage crew finds the ship, and once they realize Ripley is alive, they know they've lost their payday. Zach, it wasn't until I watched Aliens on my giant fucking TV that I realized that those salvage crew guys were wearing Colonial Marine shin pad armor painted yellow. Just as an example of, like, I've seen this movie fucking 500 times and I'm still like seeing new shit in it, you know? And also, by the way, the third guy is James Cameron. When he takes like the third guy down the row of the salvage crew, takes his mask off, that's James Cameron.
Oh, look at you. Fun facts.
What do you think about this opening?
It's great. And it wasn't actually until my latest viewing that I realized I'm like, oh, they're kind of annoyed that they found someone alive.
They were, because there goes their salvage.
Right.
Cut to Ripley waking up in a medical bay on Gateway Station above Earth. The movie does a great job putting the Weyland-Yutani logo on everything, right down to the medical devices. And later on, you're going to see on the big wheel as well.
Yeah, which I think is a little bit of a reference to The Shining, I think.
Oh, that shot was a bit of a Shining-esque shot. You're right. I didn't put that together, but I think you're right.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm gonna push a little bit on nowadays aliens being shoved down our throats, you know, with all the sequels that have come out and trying to like market it like it's cool. I like it subtle. Like Corey has a subtle Weyland-Yutani hoodie.
Yeah.
Very subtle, but like when it's just, I don't know, like the new Alien show, TV show that's coming out, she's got like Weyland-Yutani, like what do you call them? Pupils?
Eyeballs. Yeah.
Like, what? Come on. Would it be that? Maybe it would be that obvious. I don't know.
I honestly, I think it would be that obvious, but I get what you're saying. It's more fun when it was like this, where it's just kind of like, I mean, yeah, like the EKG meter, like that's on Ripley has like a little Weyland-Yutani logo. They had to they had to print a little sticker to put
like
on
subtle.
there, you know?
I like the subtlety. I like the subtlety.
Me too. In walks Carter Burke holding Jonesy. He pulls up a chair next to Ripley and introduces himself. I work for the company, but don't let that fool you. I'm really an okay guy. Ripley asks how long she was floating through space. Burke gets uncomfortable because he wasn't expecting to be the one to tell her this, but it's been 57 years. Burke tells her she drifted right through the core systems and it was just blind luck that a deep salvage team found her when they did. This information hits Ripley like a ton of bricks, and the nurses think she's having a panic attack, but as she pulls up her shirt, we see a chest burster pushing its way out of her body. Thankfully, this is only a nightmare, and Ripley wakes up screaming in her medical room, which has a pretty amazing view of Gateway Station and Earth in it. And Zach, let me ask you this. Even though the information about how long she was gone for, we got that in a dream, we're still led to believe it's accurate, though. Even though that information was given to us in her dream, I still think we're led to believe that it's accurate, and obviously the special edition backs that up.
Yes. Yeah.
Like, that's kind of, like, messy, though, like, delivering that information and then having it turn into a dream.
You know, we all have dreams, like, where something happened to us and we repeat that part and then it goes weird after. And I think that's what happened.
And I don't think anyone, because even though the theatrical cut doesn't have the stuff about Amanda, I think we all still understood that was still correct. She was still floating through space for 57 years.
Yeah, and this is maybe the first time I thought about what it would have been like having all that time gone, and literally everyone in your life that you know is just gone.
Yeah, including your own, you know, her daughter. But yeah, dude, like as a father, like holy shit, like that has to kind of hit, you know?
Right.
Crossfade to Ripley sitting on a park bench, quietly looking at a scenic image of trees that are projected onto a wall. She's still on Gateway Station. Burke walks in as she turns the wall image off. Ripley asks Burke if he has any information on her daughter, but the company man thinks she should focus on the upcoming hearing. There will be a lot of heavyweights in there. Feds, Interstellar Commerce Commission, Colonial Administration. Ripley doesn't give a fuck and asks Burke again about her daughter. Burke says he was hoping to wait until after the meeting, but then starts reading what he found. Amanda Ripley McLaren, married name, I guess, age 66, and that was at the time of her death, 2 years ago. Burke says he's sorry and hands Ripley a picture of her adult daughter. They used a picture of Sigourney Weaver's mom for Amanda in this picture. Ripley starts crying and says she promised her daughter she'd be home for her birthday, her 11th birthday. So, Zach, thoughts on the first deleted scene?
I mean, it's relevant. It's probably the most relevant scene of all of them, next to, in my opinion, Newt's parents, you know. But, yeah, it's impactful. And it's like this movie's moving at a slow pace so far, you know, methodical, though. It's methodical.
Yeah, like a lot of James Cameron movies are. Cut to the Weyland-Yutani hearing, and Ripley has to explain why she blew up the Nostromo, an M-class star freighter worth $42 million in adjusted dollars, minus payload, of course, which I'm guessing is trillions at this point.
Yeah, I didn't look it up on the inflation calendar, but probably.
Probably. Van Leeuwen reads the flight log to her that corroborates some of Ripley's story, but says they found no evidence of the alien life form she claims to have encountered. Ripley shoots back, good. That's because I blew it out of the goddamn airlock. One of the heavyweights asks the group if there are any hostile species like this organism on LV-426. The ECA rep says, no, it's a rock, no indigenous life. Took me a while to actually look up, find out what ECA stands for, which is Extrasolar Colonial Administration. Found it on a wiki.
All right.
Ripley turns around and scoffs. Did IQs just drop sharply while I was away? Ma'am, I already said that it was not indigenous. It was a derelict spacecraft. It was an alien ship. It was not from there. Do you get it? We homed in on its beacon. Ripley gets in a pissing match with the room, and it doesn't go well for her. Van Leeuwen says, it's the finding of this court of inquiry that Warrant Officer E. Ripley, NOC 14472, has acted with questionable judgment and is unfit to hold an ICC license as a commercial flight officer. Said license is hereby suspended indefinitely. They won't be filing criminal charges, though, but she must do 6 months of psychological evaluations. Case closed. As the meeting is wrapping up and everyone is leaving, Ripley stops Van Leeuwen and asks why they don't check out LV-426 for themselves. He says they don't have to. There have been people there for over 20 years, and they never complained about any hostile organisms. Ripley asks how many terraformers are stationed on the colony. Van Leeuwen doesn't know the exact number, but around 60 or 70 families. He leaves Ripley standing in the room stunned. Now, Zach, as far as costume designs go, I love the fact that all they do to show that this is the future is, people who are wearing suits, they have the suit jacket collar popped up. And I'm like, it's so perfect. It looks futuristic, but that's all they did.
Yeah, but if you look at the pop, there's an extra piece of material back there. It actually, it's intentional.
Right. It's not like they just took a jacket, and popped it up.
Yeah, which would just be the fabric in the back. But yeah, I mean, it looks really cool. It's funny, again, because I watched Ready Player One just the other day. And Buckaroo Banzai is the outfit of choice that the Avatar decides to wear. The main character. It's kind of what Carter Burke is wearing. It's Paul Reiser, because he's it's like a gray jacket with a burgundy tie and a blue shirt underneath. And that's Buckaroo Banzai's outfit, which I think that movie came out 1985. So it's just funny. I'm sure it's a sheer coincidence. Maybe it's not. I don't know. Maybe it's a slight homage.
Hey, Zach, no matter where you go, there you are. Big Boutte. I love that movie so much.
I know. I love that movie too.
I wouldn't be surprised if Cam or somebody has us do Buckaroo Banzai at some point.
Yeah, and that may be a crossover movie. That may be a crossover movie we do with Pat, because the soundtrack is kick ass on that as well. I will say the little bit of deleted scene, I felt, was it? Because again, I just watched the deleted or the special edition versus the theatrical cut. Was that an addition though, when they show Ripley's file with her getting her license revoked? Because that gets brought up later. I feel like that this scene is tighter in the theatrical version.
It is. So it's not everything is so cut and dry. We're going to go right into a completely deleted scene of Newt's parents and everything like that on Hadley's Hope. So there are the myriad of changes made in the special edition. This boardroom scene did have moments put back in. The funny thing is, at this point, I've seen both theatrical and special edition so many times. This scene, I couldn't tell you what the difference is. It meshes together for me.
I'm pretty sure that one little bit of information where they show her file getting her license, that was cut because when Carter brings that up to her later, or when Burke brings that up to her later.
Signed Burke, Carter J.
Exactly.
Now for the second deleted scene of the director's cut. Cut to Hadley's Hope, the shake and bake colony on LV-426. The planet's name is also Acheron. Population 158. The station is full of life, unlike when the Colonial Marines investigate it later. The head of operations is played by Mac McDonald, and Zach, we saw him in Nightbreed. He was the father of that family that Decker kills sort of at the beginning of the movie. He's like watching TV. You don't really see, he gets killed off screen. He was also in Hardware as a newscaster.
Okay, yeah, because he looked familiar to me.
Yeah, yep.
Interesting.
He's told that a mom and pop survey team just called in and are asking if their claim will be honored because they were sent to those specific coordinates by the company. Christ, some honcho in a cushy office on Earth says, go look at a grid reference. We look. They don't say why, and I don't ask. I don't ask because it takes 2 weeks to get an answer out here, and the answer is always, don't ask. Tell them, as far as I'm concerned, if he finds something, it is his. And then he goes, Lydecker? And he points to the kids running around and everything like that. Cut to the Prospector team driving their ATV across the alien landscape. Inside, we see it's Newt and her parents and her brother Timmy. He was played by Christopher Henn, Carrie Henn's brother. Now, if you're wondering why we didn't really mention Newt, being played by Carrie Henn, because this is her only movie. This is it. She played Newt, and that was pretty much it. She's now a teacher.
Interesting. I know she's like done interviews and stuff like that.
And she does conventions too.
Yeah. So, if you see her in person, ask her why. But yeah, I mean, good for her. She did her role, and I hope she got a hefty paycheck. She probably did not. And the fact that she's, living as a teacher now, that's great.
Yeah.
But, she comes on and you're like, God, it's so iconic, so iconic. She's one of the most iconic little kids. Think about that. Your one and only role. I mean, the kid who played Charlie Bucket's kind of the same way,
Right.
It's like, this is one and done pretty much. So, or the one you're known for.
Right.
And that's it. That's pretty amazing.
Yeah. I mean, she hits it out of the park. So, they finally make it to their destination. And what do they find? That's right. The derelict ship from Alien. The parents go inside to investigate, leaving Newt and her brother alone in the ATV. After some time, the door to the ATV is frantically thrown open by Newt's mom, and she radios for assistance. Newt looks past her mom and sees her father laying on the ground with a facehugger attached to him, and she starts screaming. All right, Zach, what are your thoughts on this scene? This adds a lot of story to the movie, or backstory.
I feel like almost not including it's a bigger reveal when she is discovered. I get that, but it's a great scene. Like if you're gonna leave scenes in from the cutting room floor, yeah, leave this one in. However, would I take it out? Would it be more impactful when they discover her later? Yeah, probably. I'm thinking, yeah.
I'm with you. I like the knowledge that it provides. I like seeing Hadley's Hope full of life and everything like that. But I don't necessarily need this scene in there. I don't need it the way that I need the whole Amanda Ripley scene.
Yeah, you don't need it. You don't need it.
But this one isn't as egregious as the Hudson one later.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, this isn't egregious at all.
No.
The Hudson one is terrible.
It is. It's legit terrible. Cut to Ripley's apartment, and she's sitting motionless in a chair, looking off into space while holding a cigarette with the longest ash we've seen since Shelley Duvall in The Shining. Clearly, Ripley has extreme PTSD.
She looks a little bit like my ex-wife.
Oh my, Captain. Oh my.
She does actually.
Okay. Now, I've never met your ex-wife, although I've heard lots and lots about her. But you never gave me a visual sort of reference to go with.
Just
in my head, she was like blonde with a ponytail. I don't know why. But okay. So, now I'll just erase that and put Ripley in there instead. So, does she have the shorter hair like Ripley does?
She did at one point, yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Does she smoke also?
Yep.
Did she let her ash grow like that?
Towards the end of our relationship. Oh, I love it.
Oh man. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. She actually looked Yep.
That is Sigourney Weaver vibe. Okay. Now I know what one of Zach's types are. So.
I'm so glad Corey didn't say, like the Linda Hamilton thing,
No. I'm gonna go back in time and be your daddy.
Wow.
Oh, we see Burke and Lieutenant Gorman of the United States Colonial Marines, and I mentioned earlier, Zach, His Burke is played by William Hope, and I always know him from Hellraiser 2, a movie that you and I have both talked about we like better than the first one.
I mean, you've got Phantasm 2, Hellraiser 2,
Aliens. Alien 2.
Yeah, I mean, there you go. Look at that.
So they walk up to her apartment door and knock. When she sees who it is, she closes the door immediately. Ripley lets them in when Burke says they lost contact with the colony on LV-426. Inside, Burke tells Ripley that she would be going in with a platoon of Colonial Marines to keep her safe. It could just be a down transmitter, but if it is the life form she encountered, the company wants her there as an advisor. As a carrot to entice Ripley, Burke says he can get her reinstated as a flight officer if she goes back to LV-426. Ripley tells them no, but as Burke and Gorman leave, Burke gives her his card and tells her to think about it.
Cool card, by the way. He's got a cool business card.
I've always loved it because it's like a clear, thick plastic card, dude. It's so awesome. And I love the glasses that she gives them coffee in. They're like coffee mugs, but they're glass and they're kind of squat. I love glass coffee mugs.
Yeah, it's cool. I agree.
Cut to Ripley waking up in the middle of the night, screaming from a nightmare. She calls Burke on a video phone, clearly waking him up, and says, "Just tell me one thing, Burke. You're going out there to destroy them, right? Not to study, not to bring back, but to wipe them out." Burke says that's the plan. Ripley says confidently, "All right, I'm in." Now, Zach, I do have something I want to put forward to you. Where do you think her apartment is? Where do you think these scenes take place? Do you think she's on Gateway Station? Or do you think she's on Earth right here? Are these the only two shots on Earth?
I mean, they make the implication that she's on Earth.
Okay. So you think that her apartment and these two scenes right here, this was Earth, not Gateway Station. As a kid, I always thought it was Gateway Station.
Me too. But as an adult now, I'm like, I think it's on Earth.
And you see, like, it's the room's all run down. Like, we both know at this point in our lives how hard it is for us to get into space. And even if we live in a world where it's much easier, I don't think that they would just be putting somebody who was technically jobless on Gateway Station. You know what I mean?
Well, how long are we supposed to believe time has passed since she had the hearing to now?
Dude, that's another thing. We don't know. It could have been days. I always assumed it was days. It could be a month for all we fucking know.
Yeah. So let's say it's been a while because she's working a new job. She's got her therapy. And scheming to divorce me.
And with her long ass cigarette.
Sitting on the back porch.
Scheming to divorce me. I was not expecting that.
I'm keeping the armoire. What?
What?
Hey,
what? I didn't know it was going anywhere. I'm keeping
you can have the comforter. The comforter?
Jesus Christ.
Threw it in the recycling bin.
Oh, God. Oh, God. I never expected this.
Got to give you something.
I know. Hey, everybody. Corey here. I just wanted to let you know that we'll be right back after these short messages. Hey, everybody. Corey here.
And it's me, Zach.
We wanted to tell you about our new show called The Coscarelli Factor.
You can find it on our Patreon at patreon.com/podcastingafterdark. The Coscarelli Factor covers every single film that Don Coscarelli has directed. And some other little bonus features in there too, like maybe the music videos he directed as well.
That's right. You can find all the episodes under the Auteur de Force tier on our Patreon page. Like Zach said, that's patreon.com/podcastingafterdark. And if you sign up today, you will get access to the complete Carpenter Factor series, where Zach and I went through every single movie that John Carpenter directed, from Dark Star all the way to, all the way till the end. So sign up today to our Patreon page and you can unlock all kinds of other things as well, like ad-free episodes and our monthly wrap-up After Dark show.
Patreon helps keep the lights on in the podcasting After Dark world. It gets pretty dark out there at night, and all your support keeps us from getting too scared.
And thank you to everyone who's signed up to our Patreon page. We really appreciate it. And as always,
We'll catch you on the dark side.
And now, back to the show. Cut to the USS Sulaco, a Constoga-class light assault starship flying through space. Inside, we see its passengers waking up in their stasis pods. By the way, Zach, I don't know if you ever noticed, but there's a mirror in the back where it basically makes it look like there's more pods than there actually are, and there's just a mirror back there. And also, with the readout of all the Marines' names, Hudson's is not on there because I believe that graphic was made before Bill Paxton was actually brought in, because Hudson was kind of a late addition character to the script and the movie, and this printout readout graphic was made. So if you watch it again, Hudson's name is actually not on that manifest of Marines.
Oh, interesting. Interesting. And if you look closely on that mirror, there's a little bit of heroin from James Remar.
James Remar, yeah, exactly. Immediately, we get to know the colorful group of characters. Private Drake slowly gets up and looks over at Corporal Hicks and says, "Hey, Hicks, man, you look just like I feel." Sergeant Apone immediately puts a cigar in his mouth and gives a rousing speech to his men. "All right, sweethearts, what are you waiting for? Breakfast in bed? Another glorious day in the Corps. A day in the Marine Corps is like a day on the farm. Every meal's a banquet, every paycheck a fortune, every formation a parade. I love the Corps." As everyone walks over to their lockers to get dressed, we see Private Vasquez doing pull-ups. Once she's done, she asks Corporal Farrow, the dropship pilot, who Ripley is. She's supposed to be some kind of consultant. Apparently she saw an alien once. Hudson scoffs, then asks Vasquez if she's ever been mistaken for a man. Without hesitation, she says, "No, have you?" Drake smiles at his friend and says, "Aw, Vasquez, you just too bad." She gives him a playful slap on the cheek. And then we did find out, Zach, through our interviews with Mark Ralston and Jeanette Goldstein, Drake and Vasquez, they are BFFs in real life. They met each other on this movie. They bonded over those giant, horrible contraptions that they had to wear, the smart guns. And they bonded over that, and they became friends. And they're still fucking best friends to this day. So the chemistry we're seeing on screen is real between these two.
Yeah. And Jeanette Goldstein now owns a business to deal with gigantic, bountiful contraptions.
She has a boutique bra store in LA and other places.
And they're made for women with larger sizes. It's
yes,
true.
Yes.
It's true. I'm making a joke, but it is true.
Yeah. Well, she's rather busty.
It's literally here on Santa Monica and Sawtell in Santa Monica. And the front of the store says, "Hey pal, my eyes are up here." That's the marquee for the store. And so we're driving the other day, and Bodie's like, "Whoa, hey, yo, what? Why does it say that?" And I go, "Because they sell bras there." And he's like, "Hey, yo."
Oh, Bodie. Oh, I love it. I'd stay a kid as long as possible, man.
I know, because it's just going to turn one day, and it's...
And then it's going to be, "Hey, yo."
Hey, yo.
Cut to later, and everyone is eating and chatting. Ripley is annoyed that they don't seem to be taking the alien threat seriously, especially since Hudson talks Bishop into doing his knife trick. Much to Hudson's chagrin, when the tables are turned and Drake holds him down for Bishop to use Hudson's hand for said trick. Zach, that trick is now lives in infamy, but my God, have you ever tried to do it? And I'm not talking about with a knife, but have you ever tried to do it with not a sharp object?
Yeah, I'm sure I did. Yeah, the other day I was explaining to Bodie that I tried to give a kid a pile driver in 7th grade. And I did. I had him upside down and I was going to drop him down. And I'm like, "What am I doing?" And I put him back. So he was that light or I was that strong. Probably light. Yeah, I'm sure I did. I don't remember, probably because it was traumatizing. Yeah, I'm sure I did with a fork, or it was like a thing. Yeah. Everybody did it back then.
Oh, dude. I mean, it's amazing. It's absolutely amazing. When and I love how Hudson screams, as it's happening and everything.
Yeah, it's a great moment. I think we talked to Mark Ralston a little bit about that. I could be wrong, but it's been a while.
Yeah, that might have come up. Yeah, we definitely talked to him about being from Baltimore, so that was cool.
For you.
Yeah. You're like, "I didn't give a shit.
Star Wars sucks."
Fuck you. Insert GIF of Gene Hackman saying, "Fuck you."
Vacuum.
When Bishop returns to the table, Ripley notices he has white blood dripping from one of his fingers that he nicked while doing the trick. "You never said anything about an android being on board. Why not?" Burke says it never occurred to him. It's standard practice to have a synthetic on board. Bishop corrects him and says, I prefer the term artificial person myself. Bishop asks Ripley if there's a problem, and Burke tells him that during her last trip out, the artificial person malfunctioned and a few deaths were involved. Bishop tells Ripley that due to his programming, it is impossible for him to harm, or by mission of action allowed to be harmed, a human being. Bishop offers Ripley a piece of cornbread, and she smacks the tray out of his hand and tells the android to stay away from her. Private Frost says, guess you don't like the cornbread either.
Just like my ex-wife.
Oh, boy.
Kidding. It's a joke.
All right, so I'm going to really quickly run down the Colonial Marines. And Zach, after I'm done, let me know if there's anybody you want to call out at all. Lieutenant Scott Gorman, played by William Hope. Master Sergeant Alexander Apone, played by Al Matthews. Hyperdown Model 341B Synthetic Technician Lance Bishop, played by Lance Hendrickson. Corporal Dwayne Hicks, played by Michael Biehn, replacing James Remar. Corporal Cynthia Dietrich, the team's medic, played by Cynthia Scott. Private First Class Rico Frost, played by Rico Ross. Private First Class William Hudson, played by Bill Paxton. Private First Class Heavy Machine Gunner Mark Drake, played by Mark Ralston. Private First Class Heavy Machine Gunner Jeanette Vasquez, played by Jeanette Coldstein. Private Tim Crow, played by Tip Tipping. Private Trevor Wersbowski, played by Trevor Steedman. Dropship Pilot Corporal Colette Farrow, played by Colette Hiller. And Dropship Co-Pilot Private First Class Daniel Spunkmeyer, played by Daniel Cash. Now, Zach, if you'll notice, and I'll let you call out somebody real quick, but if you notice, all the Marines' first names are the names of the actors, except for Hicks, who is Dwayne, because he actually has his name mentioned in the movie, so they actually had to give him a first name. But since when I think James Cameron wrote the script, he just used all their last names, they made their first name just be the first name of the actor. But any actors in that grouping that you want to call out that we didn't mention at the top?
I mean, maybe Rico Ross, only because I saw him jogging in Malibu one time on the beach shirtless, and I was like, damn, that's Rico, that's Frost, and he still looks the same.
Yeah.
He actually was on 4 episodes of Doctor Who in the 80s. And
he's still working today, man. He's in shows like Power and stuff like that. He's very prolific today.
The fact that he was on the 80s version of Doctor Who is great. I think that's I forget what doctor that was. Maybe the 11th. Sylvester McCoy, I believe it might have been. But yeah, he's had a steady career, which is great.
Yeah. And, Apone, played by Al Matthews, we saw him in Superman 2 or 3, which is the one where Superman drops a giant thing of ice on a burning factory or something like that. But there's a firefighters are there, and Apone or Al Matthews is one of them. He was also in The Fifth Element as well.
I remember seeing him in The Fifth Element. I'm like, oh, that's Apone. Awesome.
Yeah. Unfortunately, at this point, we've lost Al Matthews. We've lost Bill Paxton. We've also lost Tip Tipping, who played Crow, who he was a stunt man. He died in a parachuting, doing a stunt, filming a commercial, and his parachute didn't open. He died. And Trevor Steedman, we lost a couple of years ago, who played Wersbowski. But Zach, aside from I don't know, Hicks or something, who's your favorite secondary or tertiary Colonial Marine?
Probably Frost. I feel like he deserved more. He got killed off too quickly. And then I liked Hudson, but then I'm watching it now, I'm going, but he's such a cheese dick. He's such a little bitch, and who only kind of gets it together in the right before he gets iced. So Frost was I would have liked to seen him have more of a, cause he's a badass.
Yeah.
Some of the Colonial Marines look a little bit like, Best Buy workers with their gear on, no offense, but as Rodney Dangerfield would say, they don't look as tough as Hicks does.
I'm taking a lot of offense right now.
Look, what's his Spunkmeyer does not look. He looks like a best. He looks like a guy. He looks like the IT guy. He does.
I mean, his name is Spunkmeyer, and I know he's the co-pilot. He is the co-pilot.
And what's her face? The pilot.
Hold on, buddy, because she's one of my favorites. Apone is my favorite. Farrow is my second favorite Colonial Marine.
I'm saying if you take the sunglasses off and you take her helmet off, and you put on a Best Buy outfit on her, she'd fit right in. I'm not saying that's a bad thing. I'm just saying she's not jacked up like Vasquez.
This is true. That is true. That is
all I'm
true.
saying. And Spunkmeyer looks like the IT. They look like the guys who, enlist in the military, and they're like, I'm the photographer. Yeah, you're still a badass because you got to go through training, but you do look like a photographer. You do look like you should have a camera, not a gun.
And Zach, speaking of training, like I remember first hearing like about like actors having to go through like sort of like pseudo military training, like with Saving Private Ryan. Like that was sort of like when I first kind of heard about it. But apparently James Cameron put this entire crew through the same like some basic training, I think for like 2 weeks or something, with some because this was filmed over in the UK with some SAS guys or something. So like it was happening even back in the 80s.
Yeah, no, totally. I mean they're in great shape too.
Yeah. Except for Spunkmeyer.
Well, yeah, I mean, look, when we talked to our boy Richard Chavez, and he's like, I was in the best shape of my life when I did Predator. You know, I was chiseled, but you're not Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Right. Yeah. Exactly.
But not everybody can look like that. So yeah, because there's got to be. Yeah.
Dude, when Rico Ross and Mark Ralston are walking around shirtless at the beginning of the scene, like they both have like insanely chiseled six packs.
But they're big dudes too. Like both Mark Ralston and Rico Ross in person are very tall.
Yeah, you're right. You are right about that. Later
drinks of water. Tall drinks of water.
Later we see the Marines are gathered in the hangar so they can be briefed on the mission. Gorman starts giving his speech, but is barely 2 sentences in when Hudson raises his hand. Gorman asks, "What is it, Hicks?" "Hudson, sir. He's Hicks." Gorman looks slightly embarrassed and asks what the question is. "Is this going to be a stand-up fight, sir, or another bug hunt?" Gorman says all they know is there is still no contact with the colony and a xenomorph may be involved. Frost asks, "Excuse me, sir, a what?" Hicks says it's a bug hunt. Then he asks Ripley what are they dealing with. She tries to recount what happened in the previous films, but gets choked up while recalling the details. Vasquez gets annoyed by Ripley's emotions and says, "Look, man, I only need to know one thing, where they are." And she makes a shooting hand motion. Hudson laughs and says, right. Everyone said alien, and she thought they said illegal alien and signed up. She shoots him the bird and says, "Fuck you, man." He replies with anytime, anywhere. Ripley cuts them off and says, "Are you finished? I hope you're right. I really do." The whole room goes silent. Gorman says they have Ripley's report on disc and everyone should familiarize themselves with it. Ripley cuts him off and says, "Because if just one of those things managed to wipe out my entire crew in less than 24 hours, and if the colonists have found the ship, then there's no telling how many of them have been exposed. Do you understand?" The meeting is adjourned, but not before Hudson has one final question. How do I get out of this chicken shit outfit? All right, Zach, one thing that's always bugged me as a society, as our society here, post the movie Aliens, we have referred to these aliens in this movie as xenomorphs. But I believe in the movie, Gorman is using the term xenomorph for any kind of alien that's not like human, essentially. You know what I mean? And that's always been, I mean, and the entire breakdown, I'm going to refer to them as xenomorphs. It just is what it is. But it's almost like saying like bug, like referring to an ant as a bug, but so are other bugs. There's also other bugs, but you would just refer to the ant as a bug. It's like, but we had to latch on to it because we can't go around saying, "Oh, I like the aliens in the movie Aliens." So like, what? The aliens. You know, I get we had to give them a name. I understand that. But in the terms of this movie, I always took it as xenomorph was a blanket term for all alien life form.
I've always used it in broader terms, but, and then the video game Xenophobe came out, and I was like, which is a great game, by the way.
Yeah.
Xenophobe. That's the one with the 3 screens.
Yep.
And you're like killing aliens. And then there's Alien Syndrome, which is literally aliens. It's the aliens game that should have always been. That arcade game, one of the best arcade games of all time.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's like a broad term. You can't call them, it just sounds better than aliens because it just aliens sounds a little generic. Xenomorph sounds like more professional.
Right. Right. But in this universe, there are other types of xenomorphs.
Yes.
But we've never seen them as a viewer, so we just refer to the alien in this as a xenomorph.
Because there's humans and then there's xenomorphs.
Yeah.
Because we are the dominant. Oh, we think we're better than everyone.
Of course. In every species, we think we're better than every single creature on this planet, when I don't think that we are. Hey,
someone's listening to this right now going, damn right.
We see the Sulaco arrive at Acheron. Inside the starship, we see the Colonial Marines prepping their dropship with ordnance by using power loaders. Ripley tells Apone and Hicks that she feels like a fifth wheel. Is there anything she can do to help? Apone says bluntly, I don't know. Is there anything you can do? Ripley says she can drive that power loader. She has a Class 2 rating. Apone chomps on his cigar and says, be my guest. We see Ripley get into the power loader, test the controls, then pick up a box and say to the boys, where do you want it? Hicks and Apone laugh, and Apone says, Bay 12, please. And I mean, dude, as a kid, we all loved quoting Apone because of his voice and everything. I mean, as a kid, I would always be like, Bay 12, please, you know?
Yeah, this opening sequence is like one of my favorite sequences in the movie. When everything goes to shit, then that's when I'm like, oh man, but I really like all these guys.
It's funny that you mention it, because the next scene, the scene transitions with another shot of the Sulaco in orbit over Acheron. Inside, our intrepid Colonial Marines are suiting up for battle. Zach, my note right here is, this is my favorite part of the movie. I love how the score builds up to a climax, and when Pharaoh releases the couplings of the dropship, the score like cuts off for like that 1 second right before she releases. This whole part here, all the way up until, say, the door opens and we see Vasquez standing like outside, and, you know, the shot from the inside and the door opening.
Yeah.
This section of the movie is my favorite part of the film.
Yeah, me too.
The whole dropship section, essentially.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Yeah. We see our first shot of the APC as Bishop drives it up to the dropship. In the locker room, Apone pumps up his team of absolute badasses as he gets them onto the ready line. Once everyone is in formation, he throws open the APC door and packs them in. Ripley and Burke find seats for themselves as Hudson locks everyone in. Bishop backs the APC onto the dropship, and Pharaoh initiates the launch cycle. As the ship is lowered into place, Ripley nervously looks around the APC and locks eyes with Hicks, who's kind of creepily staring at her.
He is, but like she's liking it.
It's, if you're so good looking, you can just creepily stare at a girl and they'll like you.
I mean,
at least that's what the 80s have taught me.
He is
a good looking dude.
I think it still works for some people.
Yeah. You got to have that. You got to have the right good looks, though. It's got to be those smoldering good looks.
It's got, for some. Yep.
Yeah. For some. For others, they're plotting your divorce.
What are you saying? What?
What? The armoire? What? What's happening?
Where the hell's the records room?
In the cockpit, we see Pharaoh grab the manual release and say, stand by to initiate release sequencer. The bottom of the Sulaco opens up as the dropship is suspended over the planet. In the APC, Hudson says to the team,
we're on an express elevator to hell, going down. Woo! Should have just left it at that. None of that badassery.
Exactly. Now, Zach, when I took my nephew to Disneyland last year, and we went on the Guardians of the Galaxy, which used to be the Hollywood, terror thing, the drop ride,
The drop, yes.
So my nephew had already seen Aliens, and we're going up. I'm sitting right next to him, and bro, I said that line perfectly. Right the second before the thing dropped, it was one of the greatest moments of my entire life, which is really sad, but it really was amazing.
I mean, that sounds amazing.
You're like, and a little sad.
No, I've said, I used to have Bodie saying we're on an express elevator going down, and I think he still says that to this day, actually. So
when he finds out that hell part of it,
yeah, when he hears hell now, he'll be like, wait, you left that out.
You mean I was quoting him wrong the whole time? Dad, damn it.
I went down a really scary slide in Japan, and I said, it's a go time. It's pretty funny.
That's pretty funny. Good job, buddy.
Yeah, I did. I held it the entire time, and I came down.
Good job.
But I should have said that too. It's more pop culture, relevant there in Japan.
Yeah. Pharaoh counts down from 5 and under mark pulls the release. The dropship falls through space and into orbit as everyone on board is rattled by the G's they're pulling. Once the ship is on course, Pharaoh tells the team they're in the pipe 5x5. Back in the APC, Ripley notices that Gorman seems a bit nervous. She asks how many drops this is for him. He says 38. Simulated. Vasquez presses further. How many combat drops? 2, including this one. This does not instill much confidence in the team. We see that Hicks is fast asleep. As the dropship comes out of the clouds, we hear Frost say to Crow, I'm telling you, I got a bad feeling about this drop. Crow jokingly mocks him with, you always say that, Frost. You always say I got a bad feeling about this drop. Frost says, okay, when we get back without you, I'll call your folks. My wife will tell you that anytime someone says you always say that, I start having convulsions because I will always say, you always say that, Frost. You always say I got a bad feeling about this drop. It's an earworm. That line is just stuck in my head.
Corey says that to me too, guys. So
I know. I mean, Zach's like, not just Myra could have said that. I could tell you that.
Yep.
And then Zach does a gun motion to his head.
I just take a long drag off a cigarette.
And you don't even smoke. You only smoke. You only do that long drag whenever I say that.
Yes.
Now that the dropship isn't bouncing around so much, Gorman slides over to his command center on the APC. There he has 2 screens for each Marine, one showing their vitals and one showing what the camera on their helmets is recording. Drake's camera is malfunctioning, so he fixes it by bashing his head onto the seat. Now we get my least favorite fucking speech in the entire thing.
You just skip.
Yeah, right. And I fucking hate it. And I have the audio for it, and I'll insert it right here.
Check it out. Hey, Ripley, don't worry. Me and my squad of ultimate badasses will protect you. Check it out. Independently targeting particle beam phalanx. For I have a city with this puppy. We got tactical smart missiles, laser plasma pulse rifles, RPGs. We got sonic electronic ball breakers. We got nukes. We got knives, sharp sticks.
Knock it off, Hudson.
One thing that I hate about it too, Zach, is, by the way, they already do an establishing shot of Hicks being asleep. When Hudson gives this speech, Hicks is awake behind him. Another reason I want this scene cut from the director's cut.
Yeah, it feels like very Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventures. It's weird.
Because Hudson definitely Hudson definitely has this kind of way of talking, but it kind of comes and goes in the movie, and later on he kind of loses it. Here, he's the most Bill and Ted sounding.
Yeah, because before it's a little bit of a bumpkin hick voice, and this is like straight up California surfer guy.
Yeah, he's kind of all over the place with his accent.
Doesn't work.
No,
should have left it on the cutting room floor.
I don't know why James Cameron kept it, mate. I truly don't.
Because he makes Avatar.
Yeah, touche. This was his Avatar moment. This was when the cracks were already starting to show.
Yeah, I mean, no one's perfect.
He's not. I was gonna say he's not perfect.
Nope.
Once Hudson is done saying "check it out" 20 fucking times, Apone tells everyone to get ready. Also, somebody wake up Hicks. As the dropship makes its approach, the wings unfold like a dragonfly, and we see all the missiles it's holding. Pharaoh says, "Where's the damn beacon?" Oh, I see it. Ripley asks about the giant atmospheric processor, and Burke says, "Remarkable piece of machinery, completely automated." We manufacture those, by the way. Ripley shoots him a look of annoyance.
Yep.
Pharaoh does a pass around the colony. Everything looks peaceful. They even have power. Gorman gives the go-ahead, and Pharaoh lands the dropship just long enough for the APC to drive out of it, then she immediately takes off. Inside, Apone tells his people that he wants a nice, clean dispersal this time. Once the APC stops, the Colonial Marines pop out and break into 2 teams. Apone scans the structures with his binoculars, then tells Vasquez to take point. They all move up to the north gate, but when Apone finds the doors locked, he tells Hudson to run a bypass. As Hudson is hacking the door, Gorman tells his second squad to move up. Finally, the door opens, and we get my favorite shot of the movie, which is Vasquez standing there in the doorway, holding the smart gun, with the camera sort of from inside the building, and like that frame, the door frame being so pitch black that it like almost outlines Vasquez. I love that. But Zach, let me ask you, man, like, that dropship coming in, that's a miniature, that's a model miniature. When it drops off the APC drives out, that's a, an RC controlled miniature. Like, as a kid, man, that shit looked real to me. And even now, like, it still fucking looks better than CGI. So let me ask you this. Is it better than CGI?
Oh yeah. It's 10 times better than CGI. Like, look at the movie Dark City. If that's all miniatures, if that was not all miniatures and it was all CGI, people would be like, whatever, it's just the same old thing. The Crow, look at the miniatures in The Crow, all the same director, David S. Goyer. But still, like, please give us miniatures again. Please give us matte paintings again. It's like, let's bring it back a little bit. I do want to bring it back to Somebody Wake Up Hicks line, because as a kid, I didn't get affected by motion sickness as much until I got older, but I would channel Hicks whenever I was flying and we hit turbulence because I was trying to sleep through it. If I could sleep through it, I'd be okay. If I couldn't sleep through it, I would lose my lunch. So I'm convinced that Hicks gets motion sick. That's why he falls asleep on the plane.
I like it, buddy. I like that you're
That's
doing
my world building.
You're doing world building. I am so proud of you.
That's what I do. I do it only if it pertains to myself.
Yeah, there you go. Apone and his men sweep the empty corridors of Hadley's Hope, but find no signs of life. Only hits from small arms fire and seismic survey charges on the walls, and acid burns on the floor. All of a sudden, Hudson picks up something on his motion tracker, and he and Vasquez move to investigate. It turns out to be just a pet hamster in its cage. Zach, this is another scene that was removed from the theatrical cut, and I feel this is another one that should be removed because I also think it diminishes Newt's appearing on the tracker device. Like it's too much of a red herring.
Yeah, I totally agree. They don't need it.
No. Whereas it's funny because, like, technically Newt's a red herring as well because you're thinking it's going to be an alien or a xenomorph, but it turns out to be Newt. You know what I mean? It's just like, and then we add in the hive later with all of them coming in. It's like it's too many times that the motion tracker is being used.
Agreed.
Much to Ripley's chagrin, Gorman determines that the area is secure and the command team can move inside. He tells Hicks to meet them at the South Lock. Hudson feels safer already. Cut to another scene added back in with the special edition, and we see the APC pull up to the South Lock. Hicks and Frost escort Gorman, Burke, Bishop, and Ripley into the compound. Ripley hesitates at the doors, and Hicks asks if she's all right. She says yes, then she goes inside. What are your thoughts on this scene being added back in?
I like the extra scenes. I do. Because I like the story. I like the world building. Like, give me more. But I could see why they cut this out, too. Just, it's not needed.
I think the idea of this one is like all of a sudden you see her inside, and I think James Cameron's like, how did she get in there? And it's kind of like when George Lucas did the Empire Strikes Back special editions back in the 90s, he shot a scene of Darth Vader walking to a shuttle on Cloud City to go back up to the Star Destroyer. And his idea was that, no one understood how Darth Vader was back at a Star Destroyer, but I'm like, we all did. No one had any questions that he went. Like, you didn't need to put that in there. As far as like Empire Strikes Back goes, you don't need to put that in there. Here, at least with this, you get that moment with Ripley, a little bit of emotion and everything. There's still like character development happening. That's the difference between this scene and the one George Lucas added into Empire.
Well, it's because
Shut
George
your
Lucas.
Mouth. Shut your mouth.
George Lucas doesn't have any emotion.
He might.
I think if it doesn't make money, then what's the point of even making it?
I'm just gonna leave this in here. I'm gonna add this back in because they don't know how they made him. How Darth Vader made it back to the ship.
Yeah, because his name's Darth Vader because my dog barked one time and sent me.
I will kill you.
I put a Old Navy backpack on Anakin Skywalker
You will
when he was
never
7
let
years
that
old.
one
Nope.
go.
Nope.
Oh, I hate you.
Let's have in the future. And on another planet they have roller bags. I can't. Corey's choking me through the Zoom screen.
I'm
right now.
trying to use a force. Choke you.
Nope. Because my farts are stronger than your force.
Touche. They are.
true.
I've been there. I smelled them. They're pretty bad.
And Corey edits them out in the recordings.
I do. I hear them all. I hear everything. I heard everything you said and everything you farted. When the command team catches up with the rest of the squad, Drake gives Gorman the sit rep. The lieutenant asks if any bodies were found, and Drake says no. Frost remarks that it was their last stand. The Colonial Marines move into Med Lab, where they discover multiple facehuggers in giant containers. As Burke takes a closer look, one of them attacks the glass and startles him. Hicks laughs and says, "Looks like love at first sight to me." Bishop reads the report and says, 2 are alive, the rest are dead. Surgically removed before embryo implantation. Subject, Marichek, John J., died during the procedure. They killed him, taking it off. Zach, it's so funny because that facehugger scene scared me as a kid. So even though I've seen this like 500 times, I still get that little twinge of nerves because I can remember my first viewing of it, you know?
Yeah, and I still think it looks like a penis.
Yeah, penis with a vagina. I mean, it was created by H.R. Giger. It's all penises. It's all penises and vaginas.
Guys,
the alien's head is a penis.
Chariots of the Gods. It's all penises and vaginas.
Gods are falling out. Penises are falling out of the skies.
Just fell out of the sky into my mouth. Cut to ex-wife sitting on a back porch smoking a
cigarette. Cut to Corey going back in time and having sex with your mom. Cut to Zach just sitting here crying.
I composed that piece because Corey likes it so much. Thanks, Brad Fidel.
Thanks, Brad. Just then, Frost gets a hit on his motion tracker. As the Marines move to investigate, Gorman knocks a piece of equipment off a desk, causing a loud crashing noise that startles Ripley. This highlights just how green Gorman is. Drake takes point as they slowly walk down the corridor while Frost keeps watching the motion tracker and directing the men where to go. All of a sudden, we see a small figure run by. Drake shoots and Hicks shoves him to the side, forcing him to miss. The smart gunner is pissed, but Hicks tells everyone to hold up. Hicks asks Ripley to come over, and they both bend down and look into a crawl space to see a young girl holding a doll's head. Hicks tries to grab her, but the girl bites his hand and then crawls under the metal flooring. Ripley crawls in after her and finds the little girl hiding in a spot filled with blankets, food, and other trinkets she gathered up. The little girl tries to escape again, but Ripley grabs her and holds her tight while saying, "It's all right now. You're going to be okay." She then picks up a framed photo of the little girl that says, "Second Grade Citizenship Award, Rebecca Jordan." Zach, I don't know about you, but I always wanted to have that little hideout that she had. Like, I always wanted to have that as my own little hideaway.
Oh, I love little tight spaces.
You're gonna have to cut that.
I had a crawl space in my bedroom, and I used to go down in there sometimes and
Wait, how did you get to it? Like, was it in the closet?
It was in the closet, like wooden floor, pulled up the thing to go under, and sometimes I like to sleep in the bathtub because it was tight. I don't know. My mom's like, "You like to sleep in the bathtub?" I'm like, really? Did I? I don't know. It's my choice.
Are you claustrophobic at all?
Oh no, not at all.
Okay, yeah, I was gonna say. So you do get motion sickness and seasickness and everything, but you're not claustrophobic. You're actually the opposite, whatever the opposite of that is.
Yeah, I'm not afraid of tight spaces at all.
I wonder if your mom, do you know if she swaddled you or something as a kid?
Maybe she did. I don't know.
Yeah. Interesting.
But I was thinking about Michael Biehn, when in that scene, because he's just the hero kind of from the start. Like, this is when he starts showing his heroic side. And then I thought about sitting next to him at the Beverly with you and watching he and his wife having sex on screen, literally next, and we're sitting next to him at the screening, and how uncomfortable that was.
Yeah, that was. I mean, he was nice to meet in person, but it was an overall a very odd experience. Like the whole night was very odd. Yeah, like you said, I mean, it was what, you, me, and Jeff? I don't think it was Diallo. I think it was you, me, and Jeff, right?
It was, yeah. And it was for
this weird this wannabe grindhouse movie that his wife was in. And we're talking, his wife is like 35 years younger than him. You know what I mean?
Yes. I believe the movie was called
like The Victim.
The Victim. Yeah. It came out in 2011. And his wife, he's still married to her, Jennifer Blanc Biehn.
Yeah.
Yeah. Danielle Harris was in it actually too. And Michael Biehn, that's right. Michael Biehn wrote it and directed it.
Yeah, it was terrible. Remember?
Yep.
Yep. It sure was. We're never covering that one on the show.
Never having him on our show probably either. So
yeah, probably not.
He's got his own podcast. And then he was on Michael, the guy from, who played Lex Luthor on Smallville.
Rosenbaum.
Yeah. I know people love him. Hey, have you listened to that guy's podcast? Have you listened to ours?
Yeah.
No. Then no.
Yeah, I love it when I tell people I do a podcast and they're like, oh, check this one out. I was like, how about you check out mine first, and then I'll check those out that you have nothing to do with. You just want to say, I like these podcasts.
I love when people are like, you say that. I do a podcast and like, have you heard Mark Maron's podcast? No.
It's like, it's wild, man. Have you heard it?
Who's
have you heard Joe Rogan?
Who are they?
Yeah.
I have no idea who they are.
Trust me, buddy. I feel the same way, my friend.
So thank you, everyone who's listening to us. You can watch different shows. You can like Three's Company and WKRP in Cincinnati. You can't just exclusively watch one or the other. Same with podcast, but just put ours number one.
And please rate and review us 5 stars.
Please. It really goes a long way.
Really, really does. Please and thank you.
Yes. For every Nickelback, there's a bunch of other little indie bands out there.
There you go.
Better.
Cut to Ripley and the Colonial Marines and the Hadley's Hope Command Center. The squad's medic, Dietrich, examines Rebecca and says she's fine, just a little malnourished. Gorman can't get any information out of her with his interrogation tactics, so he lets Ripley try talking to her. Ripley pulls up a chair and gives Rebecca hot chocolate to drink. Now, Zach, let me ask you something. Ripley, like Gorman's like standing above her. Ripley sits in a chair and looks at Rebecca, eye to eye. Is that the correct way to, kind of get through to a little 10-year-old kid?
Yes.
As a teacher.
Always get to their level.
Okay.
So they don't feel intimidated.
So was Gorman doing it wrong then, essentially?
Oh yeah, and it also shows that he doesn't care.
Yeah. Yeah, he was just like, just tell us. Why don't you just tell us?
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
So she then starts cleaning the dirt off of Rebecca's face. It's hard to believe there's a little girl under all this, and a pretty one too. While Ripley is cleaning up Rebecca, Hudson is scanning over real-time blueprints of the colony. He's looking for PDTs, personal data transmitters. Every colonist had one surgically implanted. If they're within 20 clicks, they'll show up on the map. So far, Zippo. Cut back to Ripley washing Rebecca's face. I don't know how you managed to stay alive, but you're one brave kid, Rebecca. The little girl whispers, Newt. My name's Newt. Nobody calls me Rebecca except my brother. Ripley asks if her brother is hiding too, like she was. Newt doesn't say anything. What about her parents? Still nothing. Ripley makes Newt look at her in the eyes and asks, Newt, look at me. Where are they? They're dead, all right? Can I go now? Ripley asks, don't you think you'd be safer here with us? These people are here to protect you. They're soldiers. Newt just shakes her head and says, it won't make any difference. And dude, I mean, Zach, I know I've seen this movie a million fucking times, but like if you look at it like as a first time watch, like that's so ominous. You know what I mean? This little girl saying like, it won't make any difference.
I know. I love her line delivery in this. It's great. Just good feral kid.
And what about Ripley, like sort of making her look her in the eyes type of thing to kind of reply?
Yeah. I mean, like knowing the backstory of her daughter dying, that she's a mom, that adds to her character development, and concern for a little girl. I think we would buy it anyways. In the theatrical cut, you buy it, the affection there, but it's more impactful.
Yeah, no, and knowing that she lost her daughter,
Right.
Cut to Med Lab, and Bishop is dissecting one of the facehuggers. Spunkmeyer brings in a box for him and says that's a nice pet he has there. Bishop coldly says, magnificent, isn't it? And I think this is, like, the way Bishop is kind of very cold. I think this is also supposed to be maybe a little bit of a red herring. Like, we're supposed to be maybe a little suspicious of Bishop.
Yeah. Oh, totally. And this is a moment, too, where Spunkmeyer's, like, British accent comes out.
Right, and it's kind of like New York later.
Yeah. So this is the problem I have with all of the new Aliens movies that have come out in recently. Actually, and I had such high hopes for the one with Danny McBride, because that was the one where I was like, they actually kind of look different from one another.
Yeah.
Because everybody in all of the movies, starting with Alien 3, they all start kind of looking the same,
Yeah.
Like, I know I had high hopes for Alien 4 because they looked kind of different from one another. But when they all kind of all have British accents, or they all kind of fuse into that same homogenous kind of mold. But this is so different because Spunkmeyer stands out because all the Marines have their own signature look to them. And the ones that get disposed of quickly, they all kind of look generic. They all look like the G.I. Joe grunts,
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Crow and Wierzbowski and whatnot.
Yeah.
I mean, even
fine.
Dietrich, she's got the short haircut and everything like that and whatnot.
Yeah. Which is fine. Like, but nowadays they all feel like they look like that.
Yeah.
Especially I so wanted to like that Romulus movie so much, but that was one of my things I didn't like about it, is they all kind of just looked kind of, there's nothing about them that stood out to me.
Yeah, and I did like Romulus, but I will say I agree with what you just said. And it's like, why does the main lead have to look like Ripley? And remember, the main lead in the one with Danny McBride was very Ripley looking with her short, dark hair and everything. I don't understand why they're trying to, like, replicate Ripley's look, type of thing. Now, Zach, I will say, Alien Resurrection, Alien 4, I hate that movie too. I think that movie would have been a lot better if fucking Michael Wincott wasn't the first one to fucking die.
I know, I agree.
He's the coolest character in the fucking movie.
Coolest character.
I mean, seriously, when he dies, the life of that movie gets sucked out of it.
I totally agree.
And he dies in the first third of the film.
Yeah, and then that's when you leave the theater after that. I would have walked down the theater. By the way, I just found out the other day that Jeff Wincott is Michael Wincott's brother, and Jeff Wincott is like a martial art. He's been in a bunch of mainstream movies, but he got to start doing B movies like Martial Law, Martial Law 2.
Dude, yeah. I know the cover. Like, I've seen that cover of Martial Law with Jeff Wincott. You just saying that, my brain I can now see in my mind's eye, I can see their relationship. Like, I can see that.
Wild. I told you about that time that I had a friend who's friends with Michael Wincott, and she called him up on her cell phone to talk to me because I mentioned that I was a fan of his, and she's like, "Oh, let's call him up and tell him that."
And you're like, "What?"
She's like, "Hey, Michael, I'm here with my friend Zach. He wants to say something to you." Yeah. And then I'm like, "Hi, hello, Zach."
Hello.
Like, oh shit.
Jesus Christ.
I did try asking if he wanted to do an interview for Podcasting After Dark at one point, and he did say he just doesn't like to do interviews. So there you go.
I tried to ask the Sato, the gentleman who played Shredder in the first TMNT movie. I hit him up, and he said the same thing. He just like, I just don't do them. I was like, well, at least you told me that, and you didn't just ghost me, which was nice. That.
Yeah, 99% of the ones do that.
Exactly.
Anyways,
so, yeah.
Jeff Wincott, Michael Wincott. Martial Law 2. That's actually better than Martial Law 1. And don't get mad at me, everybody, because I love Martial Law 1 as well.
I don't think a single person that's listening right now has an opinion on Martial Law 1 versus 2.
Cynthia Rothrock does. She's listening to
us. Oh, there you go. Oh, hey, Cynthia. How's it going? Can you come on? Can we come on and we can break down Undefeatable together?
Well, she's going to be in the new Richard Stanley movie, so.
Oh, boy. Oh, okay. All right. Let's talk offline about that.
Surprise!
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
Huh.
She just got cast in it.
Wow. What's it about?
Well, from the poster, it's like some sort of looks like some metal meatball kind of.
It's I think it takes place at a metal concert, and something goes, and he's actually filming at a real metal concert or something. Oh, that's right. Oh man, we're gonna review that at the moment it comes out. So, okay, you just made me lose my place.
Sorry.
Okay, no, it's all good, man. That was all good. Just then, Hudson yells out, "Yo, stop your grinning and drop your linen." Found him. Zach, I mean, as a kid, I quoted that. Did you quote that one? Stop your grinning and drop your linen.
Quoted the poontang line.
Arcturian poontang.
I did that too. So, yep.
True. He can't tell if they're alive or not, but it looks like a goddamn town meeting over at the processing station. Sub-level 3 under one of the main cooling towers. Gorman tells Apone and his men to saddle up. Hey everybody, Corey here. I just wanted to let you know that we'll be right back after these short messages.
Hey everybody, I'm Tim.
And I'm Dean.
And we're the hosts of Talking Back. We're a retro-based podcast covering movies, comics, video games, and more.
Check us out every Monday where we hit the rewind button and dig into some of our favorite content from the past. We like to keep things fun, lighthearted, and informative.
Do you feel like you need more nostalgia in your life? Then check out Talking Back. We're available everywhere podcasts are found.
Have you been wondering where's the beef? Well, on our podcast, Throwback Trivia Takedown, you might just find that out, as well as some other things about the 70s, 80s, and 90s.
We're a nostalgic-based trivia show that pits two challengers head-to-head in a duel of the decades, with categories ranging from movies, TV, and music, to slang, food, and fashion. You're sure to get the best in retro-themed trivia.
So strap on your jelly shoes, grab a Surge, and walk like an Egyptian to your favorite podcast app and check out Throwback Trivia Takedown.
I heard even Mikey likes it.
And now, back to the show. Cut to the APC driving across the barren wastelands of LV-426 from the main colony compound to the atmosphere processing station. Once inside, the Colonial Marines make their way down to sub-level 3 while Gorman, Ripley, Burke, and Newt watch their helmet cams from the APC's command center. Once they reach sub-level 3, the architecture changes. Now the walls are covered in some kind of resin. Yeah, but secreted from what? And are starting to look like the inside of the derelict spaceship from Alien. Now this, Zach, is the one and only shot we have of James Remar in the movie. The camera pans down sort of like from the ceiling, and we see all the Marines as they sort of like enter the hive, essentially. And they couldn't reshoot it because they had already struck that set. That set is gone. So James Remar, and actually his head kind of turns a little bit. Hicks's head turns a little bit. And then if you know it, you're like, oh, that's definitely James Remar. But this is it. This is the only shot that's of him in the movie. And let me ask you this, Zach. I feel like, I mean, I've seen The Warriors and stuff, but I feel like you're a bit more familiar with his body of work than me. How different would the Hicks character be with James Remar instead of Michael Biehn?
Well, he had done 48 Hours prior to this. And he was in a movie, I think he was in a movie at the same time called Quiet Cool.
Oh yeah, Quiet Cool, yeah.
Yeah, which again, you can find it on YouTube, y'all. But I've posted clips of it on $2 Late Fees Instagram page. Would have been dramatically different. You know, Michael Biehn, up until this point, he had already established himself as Kyle Reese. So I think people already knew him as this affectionate, guy. This was different. Like James Remar was a villain in this movie called Band of the Hand that came out around the same time.
Yep, I remember
Another cool movie. Michael Mann produced that. I don't know. It just would have he kind of came off a little sleazy, and he wasn't, he would go on to play like a father figure on the TV show Dexter, which I thought he did great on. But at that time, yeah, he was kind of sleazy. So that leering look on the jet, would have been a different vibe.
Yeah.
Wouldn't have been cool, would have been creepy.
Interesting. Yeah.
And think about it, his Ajax character in Warriors, which granted was 7 years prior, you know, he was like a kid when he did that movie. All he cared about was laying down some strange wool, as he says in the Warriors. Like, and then in 48 Hours, he's a villainous scumbag in the Warriors, and that came out in like 82. Anyways, I think it would have been different. It wouldn't have been as good. And Hicks is like, Michael Biehn is perfect in this. Perfect. That's why in K2, I was so bummed that he was such a cocky asshole in K2, but he's so good in K2. So if y'all have never seen that, I know Kino Lorber is releasing K2 later this year, like a Blu-ray or 4K or something. Buy it, because he's so good in it. And I believe at one point he was in the running to play Peter Parker, potentially for a Spider-Man movie.
I remember that.
A Spider-Man movie that Don Michael Paul wrote the screenplay for, that Albert Pune helped him write. I have an upcoming interview with Don Michael Paul for $2 late fee in about a month. Or maybe, yeah. Anyways, it's coming up. And
this was going to be for canon, right?
Yeah.
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 Yeah. I remember.
He tells that whole story. So
no, dude, I remember that. Like that just unlocked a memory that I had from maybe reading like Wizard magazine or something like that. But yeah, Michael Biehn in talks to be Peter Parker, and yeah, I could see a young Michael Biehn being Peter Parker. I do think he's a bit old at this point, but I do see maybe a younger version of him would have worked. But it is funny, Zach, you've talked plenty of times on the show about how like an actor, you know, a character that you like and an actor goes on and play like maybe a bad guy, but you've always liked him as a good guy. That was me in The Abyss with Michael Biehn. Remember?
Me too.
He's the bad guy in it.
Me too.
And that's the one part of the movie where like he does a good job.
He's great.
And he's necessary as an antagonist. But as a kid, I was like, but he's Kyle Reese and he's Hicks. He's literally my two favorite characters, like at that point of all time. And now he's the bad guy. And I'm like, even as a kid, I was like, I know you're an actor, but don't do this.
Well, and he's also playing a Navy SEAL. And you're like, my dad's a Navy SEAL. And I was like, oh, he's going to be cool. You know, he's going to be this badass. And he is a badass, but he's a bad guy. Yeah, I felt the same way. Or watching him get killed in The Rock, just devastating to me.
That was devastating.
Play the villain in Tombstone. I'm like, no, I want to be a good guy. But he's really good.
I did like him in Tombstone, though.
I did too, but it's like I want to see him play a good guy, you know?
Yeah.
And then in that movie, Navy SEALs was such a letdown. It should have been better than it was.
Bill Paxton was in that one too.
Charlie Sheen, Bill Paxton, Rick Rossovich. Michael Biehn.
I remember
Dennis
vividly
Haysbert.
My dad renting that movie and us being excited. Like me and my dad both being excited to see it. And then after it was over, I remember me and my dad were both like,
yeah, because doesn't like almost everybody die in that? Michael Biehn, I think, dies again in that.
Yeah. Just be Hicks and Kyle Reese, you know?
Yeah, I mean, look, it's like Matt Adler in North Shore. I'll never see him differently. And you know, you got that. If you're known for that one role, thank God we can watch Aliens over and over again. It's that good. But if you're really good in your role and the movie sucks,
then we're all SOL kind of.
It's like in Phantom Menace.
All right. Settle down. Fuck you.
Rolling backpacks.
Gorman orders his men to make their way into the hive. Apone reminds everyone to watch their fire and check their targets. Remember, they're looking for civvies in there. As the team cautiously makes their way to their destination, Ripley asks Gorman what the pulse rifles fire. 10mm explosive tipped caseless. Standard light armor piercing rounds. Why? She says his team is right under the primary heat exchangers. So if they fire their weapons in there, they may rupture the cooling system. Gorman doesn't see the problem, so Burke chimes in with, "You're talking about a thermonuclear explosion in Adios Muchachos." Gorman, now fully aware of the situation, orders Apone to collect magazines from his whole team. He wants them to use flame units only, rifles slung, and no grenades. As expected, everyone is pretty pissed off. Frost says, "What are we supposed to use, harsh language?" Apone tells everyone to take out their mags and give them to Frost to hold. He orders Vasquez and Drake to take their smart guns battery packs out because the ammo drums are too large for Frost to carry. Once Apone turns his back, though, Vasquez takes 2 backups out of her pocket and gives one to Drake. We see Hicks take a shotgun out of his back and say to Frost, "I like to keep this handy for close encounters." When I was a kid, I did not understand what Vasquez and Drake were taking out, but it's just like this little coupling thing. Wikipedia will tell you, and any other source now will tell you it's like a battery pack. But as a kid, I was like, I don't know what the fuck that is.
I mean, I gathered what it was, but my problem with the scene was, I mean, I know why he didn't, but he should have told them why he was collecting all the ammo. Because, like, you don't just order your soldiers to, with no reason for that, especially when they're going to use but if he told them that, then it sets up the scene. It wouldn't set up the scene properly. I get why. It's just, to me, it's always been the one little thing I've had a problem with in this movie where I'm like, no, you tell them why, because they're there to shoot the shit out of things. Yeah. So now you're telling them they can't shoot the shit out of things. You'd have to tell them why. It makes more sense.
It's like, all right, man, we're under the primary heat exchange coupling. I'm gonna have to take your mags. Just at least say just like one line.
That's all you gotta say. And but then you wouldn't have Vasquez and Drake doing that, exchanging those the devices.
Yeah. No, you're right. I'm with you. I do think Apone should have maybe he respects his men. He should have at least told them the reason why. Like you also think like this has got to be an extreme thing. Like how many times have they ever been deployed where they couldn't use their weapons? Like this is probably the first and only time that's ever happened. So like, yeah, I feel like you're right. I never thought about it, but I feel like you're right. They deserve some sort of explanation for this extreme scenario that they're in.
And granted, they haven't seen any bodies yet, so they don't necessarily feel like they're under a serious threat. Right, yeah. So, okay. I mean, there's like...
No, but I don't think you're wrong, though. I don't think you're wrong with that assessment. I think they deserve to at least know something,
I just think I'm wrong thinking Phantom Menace sucks.
Shut up. Fuck you, and fuck you.
Where'd you get that cool backpack, Anakin? Old Navy?
Annie, little Annie.
Yeah, Annie, call him Annie. Nobody wants to be called Annie. No, sorry.
As the Marines get closer to the colonist PDEs, they find eggs and dead facehuggers on the floor.
It looks like my bathroom.
Good God.
Just kidding.
Then they find the bodies cocooned to the wall. Zach, as a kid, when Hicks picked up that one facehugger, dead one with his shotgun, I always thought it was a rib cage. As a kid, I didn't know that it was a facehugger. I weirdly thought it was like a skeletal rib cage. And it's one of those things where even when I watch it now, that little 8-year-old me thought it's still there. Like,
Like, gross. I always was confused as to, I know their blood is acid, but I always felt like the oozing pus was also kind of acidy, but it's not. I know it's not. But
right, yeah, like their saliva would have a little bit of acid to it,
Yeah.
Yeah, you're not wrong there. Once they find the bodies cocooned to the walls, Ripley tells Newt to go sit up front of the APC as the Marines' helmet cams send the images back to the command center. The team sweeps the area looking for survivors. Dietrich eventually finds a live one stuck to the wall. It's a woman, and she immediately begs the Colonial Marine to kill her. Dietrich calls Apone over just as the cocoon colonist begins to convulse. Apone pulls Dietrich back as an alien bursts from the woman's chest. Apone takes Frost's flamethrower and torches the dead colonist and the Xenomorph. All of a sudden, Zach, as a kid, this scene lived in my head. This is the only chest burster in this movie. Actually, there's only one in the previous film, but this is the only one in this one. Did this scene scare you as a kid?
Oh, yeah. It's the one scene that I probably have the most concern about showing an R-rated movie to my son, because it is the one scene I think in this movie that is grotesque. Everything else, I don't think anything moving past this scene is grotesque at all. The alien almost coming out of Ripley's stomach in the nightmare sequence, that's a little traumatizing, but I think this one in particular is very gross. And I was like, 2025 me looks at this scene and thinks, man, it would have been cool if they had like Veronica Cartwright as the woman in the, from the original Alien, for some reason, because the woman kind of looks a little bit like her.
Has that short hair and everything. Yeah.
Yeah, it would have been a nice little like cameo. But that's something they would do now. Put an actor from the older movie in there, but But it is a traumatizing scene. Yes.
Yeah. And as a kid, I mean, I thought it was very intense and scary.
Yeah. I think it still is. Like, it's shorter than I remember it being.
Dude, every time I watch it, it's shorter than I remember it being. Because as a kid, it lasted forever because I was terrified.
Kind of what happens. You get older and it gets shorter. Shrivels up.
But your balls get longer.
Yeah, what's up with that?
What's up with that?
Why is the elephant's ears longer than its trunk?
What's the deal?
By the way, this is also the anniversary, recording on the anniversary of apparently the Bookman episode of Seinfeld.
Oh, nice. No.
A lot of anniversaries.
No. Oh, yeah, yeah, because in the 90s, I guess it didn't come out in 86, but yeah.
No, but like the
today.
Date.
Yeah. That's, dude, one of the best episodes of Seinfeld ever. Holy shit. Actually, Zach Bookman, he was in, what's his name?
Philip Baker Hall.
He was in Boogie Nights, Your Favorite Movie.
Magnolia, yep.
I was watching It's a Living the other night. First season, like episodes 5 or 6 or something. They're in the hotel that they're at, but the ladies are like on a lower floor looking for somebody. They knock on a door, open it up, and it's him. It's Bookman. He's younger. He says like one thing, and then he's like, something implying that he ordered them. You know what I mean? Like
that's funny.
Yeah, and then he closes the door when they're not. But I saw it. I was like, oh my god, it's him.
I love that guy.
Oh, I mean, who fucking does it? Bookman is great. Fucking Boogie Nights is great. He was in Magnolia, right?
He was in Magnolia. He was in Hard 8. If you guys have never seen Hard 8, it's him and John C. Reilly and Samuel L. Jackson and Gwyneth Paltrow. I think Paul Thomas Anderson's first movie he did. It's really, really good. It's really early Paul Thomas Anderson can do no wrong.
Yeah, I think I saw that way back in the day when it first came out.
Side note, I know what you're thinking, Brian, listening to this. I'm going to choose Boogie Nights as my next movie to break down. I'm still going to make Corey break that movie down.
I will do that for Zach. I will do that.
And I'll just, get to imitate everybody through the whole thing.
There you go. All right. Shit's about to hit the fan, bro.
I could smell it.
All of a sudden, actually, that place would smell with all those dead bodies, all the shit coming down their legs
with the
and everything.
Steaming.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, but it's a dry heat. All of a sudden, the Marines hear animals hissing and look up at the ceiling. They don't see anything in the darkness. Just then, Hudson's motion tracker comes to life with movement, closing in from all around them. Apone tells his men to go to infrared, and they all activate a lens attached to the inside of their helmets. Back in the APC, Ripley tells Gorman to pull his men out. Back in the hive, Hudson yells out, "Tracker's off the scale, man! They're all around us, man!" But still, the Marines don't see anything. Dietrich remarks, "Maybe they don't show up on infrared at all." Just then, a xenomorph detaches itself from the wall where it was perfectly hidden in plain sight, grabs Dietrich, and carries her up to the ceiling. Unfortunately for Frost, Dietrich has poor trigger discipline and fires her flamethrower as this happens, engulfing her fellow Marine and sending him screaming down a flight of stairs. Private First Class Rico Frost is the first United States colonial Marine to die on Akron. Also, unfortunately for Wierzbowski and Crow, Frost dropped the flaming ammo stash he was holding before he fell to his death. It explodes, killing Crow instantly and knocking Wierzbowski on his ass. In the APC, Gorman sees Frost's and Crow's vital signs go flatline. As Hicks checks on Crow, he hears Wierzbowski screams as he's dragged deeper into the hive. And this is where I said as a kid, I always thought it was Where is Bowski, but it wasn't until the Leading Edge Aliens board game came out in 1989 that I saw his name was Where's Bowski. I was like, oh, that makes sense.
It wasn't until subtitles for me. And no, I figured it out before that, but still, yeah.
Yeah. Just then, Vasquez screams, "Let's rock!" And she and Drake fire up their smart guns. The team starts making their way back towards the APC, well, more like towards the stairs because there's like 3 levels down, as Gorman tries to order them to stop shooting. Apone can't hear over the sound of the gunfire, and as he's distracted trying to decipher the lieutenant's orders, a xenomorph grabs him from the ceiling. Now everyone is in full panic mode as Gorman freezes under pressure. Ripley tells the lieutenant to get them out of there, but he's just staring at the monitors trying to make sense of what just happened. We see the Marines fighting the Xenos through each other's helmet cameras. Zach, I always realized it, but when I'm breaking this movie down, I realized the bulk of the action here is done via everyone's cameras, and it's so masterfully done because we'll see their name readout. So it'll be Hicks's camera looking at Hudson. Hudson's yelling into the camera. Then it'll switch back to Hicks, but now we're looking at Hudson's camera, and it'll say his name below. And I love that we get the bulk of the fighting is from, like, Ripley's point of view. It's from these little camera monitors.
It's maybe the first shaky cam POV, perspective we've gotten on screen, and definitely a groundbreaking moment because it's so terrifying because you can't see what's going on. And it was so imitated after this.
Yeah.
And it's great.
It's almost like found footage.
Yeah, totally. I can't think, listeners, let us know in the comments, whether you're listening to this on YouTube or Spotify or whatever, or on our Instagram. Is this the first time they've done found footage type stuff in a movie? I feel like it could be.
Yeah, and what a revolutionary thing, man. Like, and everyone has a helmet cam, and even at the time, that's not how our military was, but that's how our military is now, though,
Think of all the things people do with helmet cams now.
Actually, Zach, I think we watched it together. I think one of the VHSs, like VHS 2 or something like that, had a zombie story, but told from the helmet cam of someone who kind of got turned into a zombie. And it might have been VHS 2 or 3, but I feel like we watched it together, and it was really good.
I think we did too. Those anthologies are so good. They're always, some of them kind of don't hit as well, but think about that. Like, people often bring up Creepshow and say, "Oh, I wish there were more anthologies like Creepshow or Tales from the Crypt." No, it's VHS. That's the anthologies that we have now. That's what those are. So true horror fans know what's up. It's the VHS ones that are really good.
I mean, all the ones I've seen, like it's sort of hit or miss here and there.
Yeah.
But every one of them has at least one awesome story in there that I love.
Oh my God. Do you remember the one where the guy like goes into the motel with the girl and she turns out to be
that's my favorite one, like the harpy girl, and she's like
good.
I like you,
yeah.
That's my favorite one, dude. That's my favorite one of all of them.
It's so good.
Yeah. And it's funny because that was actually the first story in the first VHS.
You're right.
And it was the best one. I also have a thing for non-human creatures that are in human form trying to act human. It all comes to the thing. Like, I love the idea of mimicry, of creatures looking human and acting like, and trying to mimic us, type of thing. I like that shit.
When's the last time you saw Species?
A long time ago. But
you should revisit that then.
I would like to. I think there's a 4K coming out. I was going to buy that. One movie that I always wanted to like but didn't was Mimic.
Oh yeah, Mimic. I mean,
I even watched the director's cut of that, and I still didn't like it.
That to me was the beginning of the whole, well, if Zack Snyder got to release his cut. No, it still sucks. The movie still sucks.
And that's
Mimic
Guillermo del Toro.
sucks.
I love Guillermo del Toro, but I do not like that movie.
Yeah, Guillermo del Toro definitely did not have as strong of a hand in that, I think, as I'm sure producers were like, nope, do this, do that. They had an ear in his whatever. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Now, the only part of the movie I really did like is when she's on the subway and by herself.
Oh, so cool.
And that one is standing there and she thinks it's a person, because it's mandibles turn into a face.
That was the hook.
That was the coolest part.
Yeah, that was the coolest part.
Yeah.
And then Josh Brolin was wasted in that, and I think
yeah.
literally and figuratively.
Yeah,
I think he might have been
killed. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Finally, Ripley has had enough of Gorman's bullshit and runs to the front of the APC and fires it up. She brings the command center down to sublevel 3 to save what's left of the squad. Gorman comes to his senses and tries to wrestle the controls away from her, but Burke pushes him aside and says he had his chance. Ripley eventually makes it down to the hive and rams the front of the APC right through the wall of secreted resin. The remaining Marines, Hicks, Hudson, Vasquez, and Drake, have to make their way around to the other side of the APC where the door is. Hicks yells out, "Drake, we are leaving!" as the heavy machine gunner brings up the rear. Unfortunately, Drake runs out of ammo and has to ditch his armor and smart gun. Thankfully, he has a flamethrower slung to his back. Hicks helps Hudson onto the APC, then grabs Vasquez and pulls her on. Drake is almost there, but a Xenomorph pops up between him and the armored personnel carrier. When Vasquez blasts it to pieces with her smart gun, the acid completely drenches Drake, and as he dies screaming, he fires his flamethrower into the APC, almost killing Vasquez too. Burke and Gorman put out the fire while Hicks goes to close the APC door, but a Xenomorph grabs it and tries to get in. Hicks sticks his shotgun in the alien's mouth and blows the top of its head off. This causes Hudson's arm to be splashed with acid. Once the door is closed, Ripley drives the APC out of there like a bat out of hell. This causes some ammo crates to come loose and fall on Gorman, knocking him out cold. One Xenomorph tries to grab her through the APC windshield, but Ripley slams on the brakes, sending it flying in front of the vehicle. She then floors it and drives over the poor creature that was just protecting its hive. Ripley keeps driving right through the front doors of the atmospheric processing unit and out onto the barren wastelands of LV-426. Hicks tells her they're clear, and she's blown the APC's transaxle. She's just grinding metal. Come on, ease down. Ease down. Zach, now that we're done with the...
That's what Corey says to me whenever I get on top of him.
Ease down. Well, give me some final thoughts on this. Just this. You know, the movie you said was kind of methodical, which I think is a nice way of saying slow up until this point, and then it explodes with action. What's your takeaway from this scene?
Well, the Marines, we are leaving. That was the line that Jason Brown and I would say all the time when we were playing with our G.I. Joes.
Yeah.
All the time. I mean, the pulse pounding James Horner, the ding 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 ding, which is so used. Oh
yeah,
just
dude.
Used over and over again, and you know, constant like moving forward in trailers and just that soundtrack. That part of the score lives rent free in my head forever. I'll know exactly where that is in that scene, and just Ripley. This is when Ripley became the iconic, you know, badass. It's not, you know, I know the scene with her around all the hive nests with the pulse rifle and the blowtorch at the end holding Newt, you know, I know that's iconic, but this scene, like where she takes the reins and like drives it out of there, like just shows how awesome she is and how badass she is. And like, and you go, now this is a perfect kind of halfway point for the movie. Because you're like, okay, from here on out, it is just chaos, you know, in a good way. I love it. I just absolutely love it. It's flawless. It's perfect. It is like, it follows that perfect structure, you know, it really does. And I can't say it enough. I don't see how anyone could pick apart this movie in a negative way up until this point. We'll pick apart it in a negative way in the second half. Just kidding.
Yeah. It's all downhill from here.
No, we're actually the second half. We're just going to talk about Michael Bihn's movie, The Victim.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we're switching it up. But yeah, you have like the juxtaposition of Gorman, you know, who is obviously in command, but he falls apart immediately, you know, and yeah, she has to she's waiting. She's like, fucking do something. Okay, fine. It's my turn to do something. And it's important, but that's necessary. Gorman is necessary to illustrate Ripley's strength.
Well, and you know, it goes back to that scene where they tell them to lay down the suppressing fire or whatever. They didn't take it seriously. They were not expecting what unfolded, and the way it unfolds, it's so, you know, as a kid or as a first time viewer of this film, not knowing what's going to happen in that tunnel, like, it's just mind blowing. It is shocking. And you're like, dang, but it's not terrifying because it's so action packed.
Right.
I mean, it's terrifying, but it's not nightmare inducing. You know what I mean? Like, to me at least, I look back and go, man, I could watch this over and over and over again.
Yeah,
and
that's how I was.
It's a good kind of scary, you know.
Yeah.
It's the scary where you're like, okay, it's the ride you go on at Universal Studios. Go back to our 80s Kids Unite episode and listen to that, talking about Universal Studios rides. It's the Jurassic Park ride going,
MGM rides.
You want to hear the air get deflated popped out of the balloon? Wait till Corey talks. It's amazing. It's amazing. We all got to have that one episode, right? No, but it's so, yeah, I can't say enough good things about this sequence. And my question though is, like, if the acid gets into your body, does it keep eating through? Does it keep going?
Like Hudson's arm, yeah. Like how like when does it metabolize or whatever when it stops, burning? Because we did see an Alien when they followed that one drip all the way down. It eventually stopped. So I'm thinking, like, I'm guessing Hudson got like just a little mist, on him type of thing. I mean, yeah, like wouldn't one drop like kind of go all the way through you? Now, we did see that, Zach, in Romulus, when that one kid, it like dripped on his chest, and then it dripped all the way through him, and then hit that power company behind him and kind of like sparked or whatever. But
yeah, and didn't it go through the ship or something like that?
I mean, it did a little bit, but it didn't like, it didn't like create a hole into space or something. But yeah,
it is. Yeah, that made me wonder a little bit. But man, like, Hicks using a shotgun and blowing Ripley driving over the alien and seeing the head crush. These are not trauma inducing again, but what it is like, you go, yeah, replay that. I mean, how many times did I rewind that?
Yeah, the alien getting its head crushed by the APC's tire and everything.
How many? I were pausing it to see the blood spurt out, or just like over and over.
It was so awesome. Yeah,
awesome.
And real quick, we're friends with Carl Toop on Instagram. It's TOOP. He was one of the main Xenomorph actors in the movie. Specifically, he was the one that grabs Dietrich. He's the one that comes up in the water behind Newt later on and everything. But he's cool. Go follow him, Carl Toop. He's very very fan friendly. So
yeah, and like, the surviving members of this movie that are still rocking and rolling, like, support them and tell them that you like them, because not everybody is the Michael Biehn or Sigourney Weaver. Some of the supporting actors that, like, people like to be remembered for their work. That's one thing I've noticed talking to Richard Chavez offline from Predator. He loves that people remember him for that role or any role. So most actors feel that way. There's the actor that doesn't want to talk about said movie anymore, and that's fine. Most of these people do. So show the love to like all these characters in Alien.
Yeah. I mean, like Cynthia Scott, who plays Dietrich. I follow her on Instagram. I think she just lives in New Orleans doing, stuff, I don't know. But yeah, you can find pretty much everyone here on Instagram. So yeah, go and follow them.
Just don't get their address and start sending them weird things.
No, don't do that. And as a kid, man, I'm with you, man. I loved all of this. I thought this was all amazing, but Apone dying, Frost dying. As a kid, you're just like, what is happening? Like, all the coolest characters are dying, but you realize that, like, Apone needs to die, Frost needs to die, in order for Ripley to kind of really sort of step up. And again, we have to remember, this is Ripley's movie. This is her story. These are technically all tertiary characters to her.
And think about that. Like, you were affected by their deaths, and they only were on screen for a couple minutes.
Yeah, this movie, dang. James Cameron did a great job with these Marines and everything, and it's like they are so fleshed out in such a small amount of time. You know, we didn't even mention the fact that all of their armor is, was adorned by the actors and stuff with all sorts of making them unique and everything. And
Jeanette talked about that.
Yeah, he did. Yeah. And I mean, you can find a lot of this information on like the movies that made us. They had an episode on aliens and stuff like that. I would recommend the 2-hour documentary on the quadrilogy Blu-ray set. I'd recommend that. That's my favorite documentary on this film. I watched that Aliens Expanded, and it didn't, it wasn't as good. I think that one was better. So
we were talking about impactful characters in such a short period of time. It reminds me of the classic role that Steven Seagal had in Executive Decision.
Yeah.
I'm actually kind of not joking because I thought he was actually really good in that.
No, I know. I actually liked him in a smaller role. I thought that was actually really cool of him, so. All right, we have just a little bit more to go, and then we'll be done with our first half. The APC comes to a stop, and what's left of the squad assesses their current situation. Ripley checks on Newt while Hicks sees if Gorman is still alive. As Vasquez tells Hicks to wake Gorman up so she can kill him, Hudson looks at the vital monitors and notices that Apone and Dietrich aren't dead. As Vasquez and Hudson argue about whether or not they should go back, Ripley says Apone and Dietrich can't be helped. Right now they're being cocooned like the rest of the colony. Vasquez suggests they nerve gas the nest, but Hicks counters with they don't even know if it will affect them. Hudson says they should just bug out and call it even. Ripley chimes in with, I say we take off and nuke the entire site from orbit. It's the only way to be sure. Burke doesn't like that idea. He says that the facility has a substantial dollar value attached to it. Ripley scoffs, they can bill me. Burke tries to plead his case, but Ripley reminds him this is a military operation and Corporal Hicks has authority here. Hicks reluctantly agrees with her. Burke leans into Ripley and says, this is a multi-billion-dollar installation. He can't make that kind of decision. He's just a grunt. No offense. Hicks says, none taken. Then he radios Pharaoh to prep for dust-off. They need immediate evac. Then he looks at Burke and says, I say we take off and nuke the site from orbit. It's the only way to be sure. The team load Gorman onto a stretcher and leave the APC. And I don't know if I've ever noticed this before, but it's cute. Newt is actually helping to carry Gorman too. I never noticed that before.
I noticed that too. It's cool.
Cut to Pharaoh in the pilot seat of the dropship firing it up. She tells Spunkmeyer to move his ass. Outside, we see Spunkmeyer run up the ramp. When he grabs the ladder, it has slime on it. Back over by the APC, Hicks is throwing down flares to let Pharaoh know where to land. Ripley smiles slightly as she sees the dropship coming towards them from a distance. Back in the cockpit, Pharaoh wonders where her co-pilot is. Spunkmeyer, god damn it. She hears the door open and looks behind her to see the jaws of a xenomorph opening up. Pharaoh goes for her pistol, but we see blood splatter inside the cockpit of the dropship. Ripley's smile turns to horror as the dropship crashes into one of the planet's rocky outcroppings and hurtles towards them in a fiery mess. Everyone dives for cover as the bulk of the dropship slams into the atmospheric processing tower and explodes. As the team slowly recovers, Hudson picks up a piece of the dropship in disbelief and says, "That's it, man. Game over, man. Game over." Newt walks up to Ripley and says, "I guess we're not going to be leaving now." Ripley apologizes. "You don't have to be sorry. It wasn't your fault." As the men argue about what to do next behind them, Newt says to Ripley, "We better get back because it'll be dark soon, and they mostly come out at night. Mostly." The two of them look at the setting sun on Acheron LV-426, and that's where we'll end Aliens Part 1.
Mostly.
Apparently that is Carrie Hinn's least favorite thing in the... So if you go up to Carrie Hinn and say, mostly, she hates that the most, so don't ever do that, apparently. But Zach, I was always impressed...
Triggered!
I was always impressed with how they handled the miniature work of when the... And it's clearly like a screen, like a video on a screen, when Hicks is kind of like running out of the way of the exploding dropship. It's just, like, if you look at the craftsmanship of it, it's insanely good, dude. Like, the miniatures mixed with the live action stuff.
Oh, it's so great. And, they're on a set with all the, destruction around them, but it looks so amazing. The only thing I don't like is Gorman saying, "They'll build a fire,"
Burke says that.
Or Burke, sorry.
Gorman's passed out.
Gorman's
practically dead. Yeah, at this point. No, he's
Why
not
don't we
dead.
just build a fire and sing? Yeah. I
Yeah,
know,
when Burke says
that.
that, I'm like, yeah, build a fire. And I'm like, shut up, dude. Like, I know, and you're supposed to hate his character, but like, I just hate that line. That's the line I don't like.
Okay.
Because I'm just like, no, dude, no, you wouldn't say that because it's at this point, all hell's broken loose. The fact that actually it's interesting, the more that I think about it, Burke is like, he's saying that. Wouldn't you think he'd be panicked at this point? Because they're like stuck on this planet now.
Yes.
Not talking about.
I'd be screaming. I'd be like, what? Get me off this planet.
Yeah, of all the people, the corporate suit guy should be the one to be the most like terrified. But it's Hudson,
Yeah.
So, anyways, and Hudson is great. Like, it is funny, man. It's like that is hilarious.
I mean, dude, as a kid, you said game over, man. Game over, right?
Yeah, but you got to be honest. You got to also admit the fact that he's pretty badass because even though he's complaining about that, he's got all these acid holes in his arm that he just endured, and he's not seeming to wince over that. So
yeah, no, I mean Hudson isn't. He's not a complete wuss. He did go through basic and everything, and he is a colonial marine. God damn it,
It's true.
He is an absolute badass. God damn it.
He does not look like he'd be working at Best Buy.
No, not at all.
He'd be working at 24-hour fitness.
But yeah, dude, this shit was wild, man. I'm glad that we broke this up into two halves because we've already done a full episode and we're literally at the exact halfway point of the movie. And I mean, our part 2, we're not going to have as much at the top end because we've already talked about the behind the scenes people, the editor and the composer and everything. So we're not going to have as much to talk about. But hopefully next episode we will find out what Bodhi's review of the movie is.
Yes, and the top's not that full, the bottom is, that's fine.
Yeah, we're gonna have some fun either way.
Yes, we will. We're gonna have some fun tonight.
That's right.
Now that's another movie.
That is another movie, but technically in the same universe.
This is true.
Yeah,
this is true. Unfortunately, there's just bad versions of it in the future.
Very much so. How do you take 2 rated R movies and combine them into a PG-13 film?
Yeah, I mean, can we talk?
Can we talk about how much we hate fucking Aliens versus Predator, the movie?
Yeah, can we talk about just, that was the thing. I've recently, I know that we're wrapping things up, and I talked to Rick Bakewell. He's a director and he's an editor for this upcoming documentary on Goonies, Life After Goonies that's coming out. I did an episode on that on $2 late fee this month. And he talked about how he doesn't want to see like another Goonies movie. Just like let it let it be. Let it don't try to let it lie, let it be. That's it. And I feel the same way with all the alien stuff. It's just like, make a video game, make a comic book, make some action figures. Don't try to reinvent by casting a bunch of no-name people, and like, I know they're not no-name people, but you know what I mean. And you're not going to create a new franchise based on this stuff.
Well, I, for one, am chomping at the bit for Alien Earth.
I'm okay
that's
with.
coming out in August. And
I will say that, yeah.
Specifically, Zach, because it's supposed to take place timeline-wise, I think it's supposed to take place between Alien and Aliens, and maybe a little bit closer to Aliens timeline-wise.
Oh, I thought it was just before Alien. But
no, you're right. It might actually be before Alien. I don't know. We'll find out. All I'm hoping, buddy, I just want to see some fucking colonial marines because everyone loves this fucking movie. Everyone loves Aliens, and as much as we talked about, like they try to recreate it with Prometheus, with Covenant, with Romulus. With Alien 3, Alien Resurrection, how the fuck do we never, ever see another colonial marine?
I mean, that's a whole other podcast discussion, but I will say this, what I'm hoping for, and it'll echo what you just said. I want to see some strong characters, not weak characters who get stronger as the movie progresses. I want to see strong characters from the get-go, who look strong, who don't, versus, people who like, oh, they look like you or me. And they find the inner strength. No, let's make them badasses from the beginning, just do that.
Yeah.
do that.
Because the Colonial Marines were all fucking badasses. And then,
from the beginning.
And then when they get destroyed, you're like, oh man, if they're badasses, then clearly the Xenomorphs are more badasses, you know?
I will say, that Kong Skull Island, that was one of the aspects that I loved from that movie, is the guys, they are all badasses, all the soldiers. I know they all pretty much got killed, but like they were all badasses.
Yeah, I saw that. I think I only saw that ever in the theater with you, but I very, very much enjoyed it, and I've actually been really wanting to rewatch it.
It holds up. I would recommend rewatching that, especially for the Dr. Brule for your health.
Yeah, of course. Well, so like I said, ladies and gentlemen, go listen to our interview with Mark Ralston, with Jeanette Goldstein. Also, we've done a myriad of Aliens episodes, comic books, random stuff, whatever. We've got a lot of Aliens discussions happening on the podcast. So go check those out as well. And also thank you, Brian. Thank you so much for picking this. Like, you know, it is my favorite movie, just like Boogie Nights is Zach's favorite movie. Who knows when the fuck we ever would have gotten to do this, you know what I mean? So it kind of takes someone else to sort of push that button forward. So, you know, Brian, if you want to do Boogie Nights, I'll happily break it down for Zach. So
thanks.
Yeah, buddy. I love you, man.
Sitting on the porch, smoking a cigarette.
Yep. Plotting your divorce. What's going on? Well, hell, we're about halfway through July, so which is perfect. This is a summer movie, by the way. So what's coming up at the back end of July on $2 late fee?
That's so good.
And territory marks.
I just dropped, as of this recording, a very special episode of $2 late fee with Grace and Maggie McKay from the video store Vidiots here in Los Angeles. We talked about our favorite 80s movies set in LA. This whole month, and then bleeding into August, be doing tribute to Los Angeles in the 80s. Talking about all the things we love about Los Angeles, because Los Angeles gets a lot of guff, especially right now. But you know what? I love it. I've loved it then. I love it now, and I'll love it in the future. It's a great city with some really great movies. And Maggie is she's a wealth of knowledge when it comes to content, and so is Grace, especially 80s LA movies. And I throw Maggie for a loop with my pick, and Grace chooses a movie that we broke down on Pad. And Maggie chooses a movie that I covered with Dustin on $2 late fee. So anyways, and my pick is a movie we broke down on Pat and covered on $2 late fee. You probably know what it is. But yeah, that's for end of the month. And in territory marks, I did a fun thing where I posted I do a show on $2 late fee's Patreon called Legends of the Territories, where we focus on a specific wrestler. Paul and I do. Well, Paul was touring and he couldn't record, so I recorded an interview with Greg Gagne, who's a former professional wrestler for the AWA. Posted that on Patreon. I'm releasing it a month later on the free feed for everyone to check it out and listen. And that guy tells some great stories about the glory days of professional wrestling. That rounds out the month of July at $2 late fee and territory marks.
Zach, if you ever interview Jade Cargill, I would like to be on that episode. Or Rhea Ripley.
I wonder why. Thank God for women's wrestling, because that seems to be the saving grace right now for wrestling.
Yeah, Rhea Ripley is like mainstream big, you know, and I've been following Jade for a while because she started out doing a lot of like some cosplay stuff and everything. She would cosplay as like Storm and things like that, but yeah, woo!
Yeah, if you all want to go back and watch the latest pay-per-view, Evolution, it's all female pay-per-view they did over the weekend.
It was on Sunday. Yeah,
prior to this recording. Yeah,
I was gaming with my buddies, Xair. He's a big wrestling fan. He has two TVs, and he was watching it as we were gaming together, and he was talking about. He's like, "Oh, Jade, your girl Jade's here."
Well, Naomi, who she beat.
Naomi, I'd heard about Naomi too.
Had a outfit that was covered in razor blades. So
wow.
It's very cool. Very cool. Wrestling is going through a weird flux right now, but there are some gems. Definitely female wrestling is way better than it was back in the 80s.
Yeah, is Rhea Ripley kind of responsible for, like, her popularity is kind of responsible for this resurgence of...
Yeah, she's one of them.
Yeah, okay.
You know, there's one lady named Asuka who's from Japan.
Oh,
who
yeah.
Definitely, you know, kind of pulls a Great Muta gimmick with her face paint.
Yes.
She's so great too. Anyway, there's a lot of great female wrestlers, and you know, it's not just like Nikki Bella, who I cannot stand. I just can't stand her, you know, gyrating on stage, and it's like, yeah, great, that's all good, but does that actually, you know, help female talent? I don't know if that does.
Yeah.
Because it creates a stereotype. So, anyways, Rhea Ripley is badass.
Oh yeah, I love my muscle mommies.
from one Ripley to another.
There you go. And as always,
we'll catch you on the dark side, mostly.
Be sure to subscribe to Podcasting After Dark and give us a 5-star rating on iTunes. Support Podcasting After Dark on Patreon. Follow us on Instagram and Facebook at Podcasting After Dark. And visit us next time for another installment of Podcasting After Dark with Corey Stevenson and Zach Schaefer.